Zoobox, is that you?
What the fuck kind of name is that?
Yo, Zoobox, what it do, baby? It's your boy, Ari Spears here. Going to win, Zoobox, and persevere.
The Zoobox is working.
I don't know what Zoobox means. I don't get it. Is this just some, I mean, obviously it's a code name of some kind.
Zoobox is working, man.
He says you a trash rapper.
Man, I want to dress up like a bunny rabbit and fuck.
That's all I gotta tell you, Zoobox. Come on, man. Chin up, find a place to smile, right?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Goes to the Movies Live. I'm your host, Shaun. With me, as always, is my adopted son, Jeremy. What's going on, Jeremy?
Oh, it's going great. I am dressed up, ready to be an Egyptian. I got my Nefertiti shirt right here. I got my Hotep Nation hat.
Well, you got a Hotep Nation hat. Okay, that's good. That'll work. That'll work. I got as Asian flavor as I could get, and I wore my Big Trouble in Little China t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I don't own a Mummy t-shirt, surprisingly enough. Can you believe it? What? I don't own a Mummy t-shirt? What am I, some kind of fake fan? People run up to me in the streets, be like, do you even like Stephen Sommers? Do you even know who he is, dude?
Boris Karloff? Who is that? Yeah.
I mean, come on, dude. So today we're going to be talking about the 1999 Stephen Sommers movie, The Mummy. So that's going to be a lot of fun once we get going on our review. So tonight we're going to kind of stick with what we did with the Mad Max Fury Road review. I thought that worked pretty well. We're going to review the movie first, and then we're going to get into some news, and then we're going to watch the Beetlejuice trailer, the official trailer, which I have only watched one time. I don't know how closely I was paying attention to it, but I tell you what, tonight I promise you, it will have my full undivided attention. Okay, Burton boys. I'm going to go full in. I'm going to give it a fair shake, too. Okay, I'm going to give it a fucking fair shake. But I don't know. So it's been a while, Jeremy. It's been a couple weeks. It's been, what, 3 weeks?
About 3 weeks, yeah.
Has it been 3 weeks? Oh, my God. See, I knew there was something amiss. Whenever my children are away for too long, I start getting worried. I start looking around the house. I'm like, it's really quiet around here. But, yeah. So what you been doing, man? You been watching any movies? You see anything good in the time in between here?
Last big theater release. Should I go into recent stuff or older stuff? What would be more fitting?
Whatever you watched. Anything you feel is worthy of mention. Yeah.
Okay. 1 sec here. Let me just pull up a diary of letterboxed entries.
I got to do the same thing because I'm like, I don't remember what the hell I watch so much stuff. I'm like, I don't remember.
Yeah, here, 1 sec. I recently, you know what? Speaking of Boris Karloff, who played the original Mummy in the Universal Mummy film, I watched the film Targets. I don't know if this is a film that you've seen.
I have a long, long time ago, but I do like Targets.
Yes, Peter Bogdanovich.
Yeah, that's how you say it.
Yeah, who directed, edited, starred, and wrote. Actually, I didn't know at the time. And what a thrilling little character piece. I mean, there's two different stories going on at once. I like Boris Karloff as this kind of aging actor that's kind of playing himself, but they give him a different name. And then they even insert uses of I guess his cameos in the films like The Terror,
yeah,
and then some of his other works.
It's got a little bit of that Ed Wood energy to it.
Yeah. And there weren't many, I was telling a friend this recently, there weren't many examples of that at the time where they were trying to be that meta and give an actor at that age, that kind of credibility.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really solid. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go revisit it. I'm glad that you brought it up because it's something I've wanted to revisit over the past few years. Peter Bogdanovich, I've always had mixed feelings about.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a little bit of a Hollywood creeper.
Oh, sure.
His relationship was with Sybil Shepherd, and then he ends up hooking up with another actress, and then hooks up with the actress's daughter when that actress passes away. And he had an obsession with this person. They made a documentary about his life, and they kind of sell it as this kind of cutesy Hollywood romance. And I'm like, I don't know, man. This just seems a little weird. But the way I found out about Peter Bogdanovich was Orson Welles. He was good friends with Orson Welles. He's published many books about Orson Welles, some of which are just collections of private interviews, conversations they had about film and filmmaking. I would definitely recommend those, just as a film fan, especially if you're an Orson Welles fan, because Orson Welles was not exactly a guy that held his tongue about anybody or anything, really. He would dress anybody down. In fact, I think he talked a little shit about Stanley Kubrick in one of those books, if I'm not mistaken. I have it somewhere. It's like it's like Lunch with Orson, I think it's called. It's a big, thick-ass book. Trembling says, Letterboxd is the only way I remember what I thought of movies, too. He also says, wasn't he with Dorothy Stratham, the actress that was murdered? Star 80 was based on it. Yes, I believe so. I believe that is correct. Over on Rumble Chat, we got Stoffers. He says, yo, I made it. He says, shake the hell out of it. I'm assuming you mean a child, that's good advice. Hagrid says, Karloff, sidekick. Stoffer says, Orson Welles, the French. Yes, the famous commercial. For me, I finally got around to checking out Jonathan Glazer's new movie, The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, and you weren't on Letterboxd. It sounded like you weren't too pleased with the end result.
I did not like it. I was kind of taken aback by how cliche and bad it was. I'll read what I wrote. It'll just be easier for me to read it. I was really taken aback by how much this didn't work for me. It's almost unbearably pretentious. Within about 20 minutes, his point has been made, and it has little else to offer in way of observation. The sound design, the creeping and bleeding noise from the concentration camps start ominous and haunting before it becomes over-designed and overpronounced in a way that had me rolling my eyes. Some of the juxtapositioning are so on the nose that I think I might have incredulously chuckled a few times. A horror of manners wherein the banality of evil allows for domesticity even amongst the nightmare of the Holocaust, the humanity of the inhumane, the moral relativity, and that's kind of it. I'm not suggesting that those aren't interesting things to explore within those subjects, quite the opposite, but Glazer doesn't have much interest in any of that, and rather uses those notions as dressing on a feeble skeleton. People who do bad things can be just as mundane as anyone else. Can you believe he cares more about his horse than what's going on over there? Do you get it? Man, I fully expected to love this. I'm a fan of the director's previous work. Under the Skin is a low-key sci-fi horror masterpiece that is elevated by the film's unique structure and tone, but he seems to have indulged in all of his worst impulses with this one, shallow and off-putting smugness. Yeah, so I did not really care for it. I thought some of the performances were good. I think it's a beautiful-looking movie. I think, honestly, it's like one of those things that it feels like it would have been more effective as like a short film. It just it couldn't really sustain for me. Have you had a chance to see it yourself?
I've still been putting it off, but I know it's available to stream and everything, and it's right there. But I've just, I think the subject matter, like I've seen too many examples of this at this point that I don't really care as much. I don't know. Like,
well, you already feel exactly how you think you should feel about it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's awful. And but that was kind of it. Like, it's an exploration of, the domestic life of people that do awful things or in the midst of doing something, and the kind of and it deals with a little bit of like the bureaucracies of it and stuff. But it was so like on the nose, which, maybe is part of the point. Maybe that was part of his point, but it didn't work for me at all. It's something that, I'll probably give another chance. Give it some distance, give it some time. Like, who knows? Maybe I was in a bad mood or something. But, it didn't work for me at all. And I was shocked. I was shocked just because of how much I loved Underneath the Skin. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was a major feat, and that's still probably one of my, like, higher up there.
That's, like, one of my favorite movies ever.
A24. Yeah, even beyond just, like, what they were attempting to do with that. And there's so many layers that you can really unravel. And you want to ignore like all those like film school types that like say like, oh, this is what Under the Skin was really about or something.
Well, I mean, it's I've always described it as the only obvious and openly feminist piece of art that I like.
The only? Okay.
I mean, maybe not the only. That's a little hyperbole for you, but like, It's very direct and it's very obvious about what it's about, and it's so well done. And Scarlett Johansson is so captivating in that role that it's a slam dunk for me, man. It's a movie that could have been really bad. Like there's a version of that movie that's not good, and just the experiment, the stars aligned with that experimental filmmaking, and it worked out. Tremley says the mundanity of evil, man. Don't you get it? Media literacy, dude. Exactly. You have to have a high media literacy quotient to be able to jive with the zone of interest. And maybe that's my problem. Spend too much time watching Italian knockoffs of Mad Max movies. Yep. Watching Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Hey, yeah.
Crazy stuff. What else you got, buddy?
I actually revisited this film. I hadn't seen it since it came out. Disney's The Lone Ranger.
Oh yeah, how was that? How was it coming back to that?
With Armie Hammer and Johnny Depp. Surprisingly, really good.
I mean, it's Gore Verbinski. He's not a bad director.
No, and that's the thing. Like he actually has like a vision and a style and a pastiche that I don't think should be underlined by any stretch of the margin. It is long, but if I had any other like minor complaints, like sometimes it has like a couple like tonal inconsistencies, but beyond that, like I was entertained and I was like just surprised that like Disney would sign on to a project like this in the style that was at the time, and
it's kind of the last time they did too. Well, they were kind of in their high adventure era, right? They were looking for their new Pirates of the Caribbean.
Exactly.
They were looking for their new franchise.
Yeah.
And that one didn't pan out because I didn't see it in the theater. And I guess a lot of other people didn't, but I know that movie has its defenders. I think even one of them is Quentin Tarantino. Is like a big fan of that movie for some reason. I think he says like the end, like the charge at the end on the train.
Yes,
it's like
it's
really well done.
It's the full on crescendo. I forget the name of the theme that they play at the end, but it's everybody knows it. It's one of those like just like great like final like 18 minutes of just like full on romp and fun and just like the good guys win at the end of the day.
It's very traditional in that way. And which it does definitely has its modern stuff. It kind of reminded me of a lot of the movies that were coming out around that time, like the Sherlock Holmes movies.
Yeah.
Kind of has that vibe, and those movies often kind of have a similar problem. Like it's the plot is way too busy for a fucking Lone Ranger movie. Like there's just too many moving parts, and it just gets lost, and you just kind of stop caring at some point. At least that's what I recall from it. But I do remember a lot of things in a vacuum, like moments, scenes, the performances. Like there's a lot of fun in that movie. I would say the same thing for another Disney failure, which was John Carter from Mars. Like, it's not a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like a fun adventure serial, like, for what it is.
Yeah, no, my buddy and I, we saw that in theaters, like, opening night, and we defended it, like, softly, like, when other people were not, like, up to back to for it.
Actually, right before my brother left for the Air Force, when he joined the Air Force, I took him to see it. We both went to go see it in IMAX 3D, and we had a blast. We're like, what are people talking about?
Yeah,
this is like a really fun time. Like, is it Shakespeare? Is it like
no,
it's not supposed to be. It's John
Disney.
Carter of Mars, dude. Well, it's not even that it's Disney. It's just pulpy adventure bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for? Hagbert says, what about the 1981 Clinton Spilsbury Lone Ranger? Ever see that? It was a favorite when I was a kid. I saw it when I was a kid, but it's been so long.
I saw it when I was little too. I've got the poster actually back here. It fell off my wall like months ago, but I've seen that one too.
Isn't it called The Lone Ranger Rides Again?
Yeah.
Isn't that what
something like that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very entertaining movie. I should revisit it. I should revisit it with my son, like I did with The Mummy this week.
Nice.
Another one I revisited was who directed this? Ken Russell, right? Ken Russell's The Lair of the White Worm, a campy adaptation of a Bram Stoker story. It's very entertaining. I'm not going to say it's like a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but if you go into it with the right attitude and understand it's like kind of a cult movie at this point, or it developed a cult over the years, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised by how much fun it is. It's very playful. Yeah, it's kind of contrived. It's a little silly. But it's got it kind of knows that it is, and it's constantly winking at you, which is not an excuse, but it does kind of go a long way to make it okay. Hagbert says John Carter fucks Legend of the Lone Ranger. Thank you. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Legend of the Lone Ranger.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Carter does fuck. Like I should watch that again. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'll have to show Foster it. That'll be a fun one to watch with Foster.
Yeah, the Lair of the White Worm. It's been on my queue for a long time. I haven't seen it myself, but the last thing I saw out of Ken Russell was Gothic, and that was
with Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, with early last year. Yeah, which I did enjoy, but it's so weird. It's
a super. It's almost incoherent.
Yeah.
But like I loved that movie when I was a kid because I just like the vibe of it, the tone, the spooky house, and like I don't know. I used to adore it. I have not seen it since I was like 12 though.
Yeah.
Which is way too early to watch that movie, by the way. Yeah, but I don't
I'm just trying to think of what else have I seen in recent I've been latching on to some of these more current trendy, I guess, films that are streaming right now, or shows, you could say, series.
Okay.
Baby Reindeer, I know is one that's making
I
the
watched
round.
it. I watched it. Did you watch it?
I did.
What did you think of it?
That was a film that had like an interesting setup and then just completely went downhill.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of borderline gross. Like,
yes,
it's it's like this. There's an exploitative element to it for the crazy lady, but it's also this gross self-exploitation where it's like this another one of these examples of trial by documentary. Where, like, I mean, if you think about the implications of what that guy's saying, he's saying that he was groomed and raped by a showrunner, a TVD producer. And it's supposed to be a true story. So did he think like people weren't going to like try to figure out who that was? Like, I don't know. It's an interesting moral quandary whether or not of how appropriate something like that is, especially if there's no like, because it's only your word against theirs. Like, what if that person's completely innocent? What if that's the complete misconstruing of that story? I don't know if that's the case. I have no idea. But I do find it perturbing and a little irresponsible that this is like a trend now. Like to put people on blast on like through documentaries and through special reports and like it's
through Netflix even. It's just like
Netflix or whatever. It's even like whether it's like Russell Brand or even our boy Kevin Spacey, right? Like if Kevin Spacey gets through the trial and gets acquitted, and then a day later, like a documentary that comes out that insists that he's guilty. I don't know how I feel about that. It's just kind of weird. Like, cause what's the point of going through the process if you're still fucking damned anyways? But I don't know.
Yeah, it just kind of gave me the icks like as it went along, and I couldn't understand what even the main character, the comedian's standpoint, or what he was. What his end goal was with this, like other than just to say like, oh yeah, these people are weird, and then
give me a career.
Yeah, give me a career. Let me level up to something more than what I'm doing right now. You know.
Yeah, it's just kind of. I mean, this is his stepping stool to fame and fortune. I think he's already picked up a bunch of jobs as a result of Baby Reindeer. I mean, the general public really has glommed onto it. They really like it. Everybody was talking about Baby Reindeer for the past like 3 weeks. Yeah. And yeah, my wife and I watched it just some random Saturday night a few weeks ago, and we were just like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like such an indifference to it because it just did nothing, absolutely nothing for me. It just kind of happened in front of me. And at the end of it, I'm like, this is why I don't watch this shit. This is why I just stop.
Yeah.
You know, I should have stopped after like the second episode where I'm like, I don't like this. Like there was no reason for me to see this to the end. I guess you just got to trust my instincts sometimes. Yeah. Like, don't waste your own time, Sean. Stoffer says, don't look now, but you have a captain lurking behind you. Oh, shit. Oh, he's a good one. He's a good captain.
I'd add like one little thing is that it certainly adds like a somewhat dated nature towards how online works. And you and I both, we're a little bit more online than that main character, I guess, to some
Sure,
degree.
yeah.
And the way they kind of like represent it, it's so unrealistic or so.
Well,
just,
there
like,
always are. That's always the
Yeah.
texture of like showing websites and stuff has never gotten. It hasn't gotten
Yeah.
any better. You think we would have figured this out by now?
Right.
At least back in the days when they made movies like The Net. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything looked rudimentary and bad, so you could kind of get away with having your facsimile
Sure.
on screen. Not so much these days, though. It's a little harder these days. Another movie I ended up checking out that I was happy to finally get a chance to is Tarkovsky's Nostalgia.
Oh yeah.
So Tarkovsky, if you guys don't know, is a Russian director, most famous for directing Stalker. That's probably his most well-known film. Maybe Solaris. Very kind of ponderous, pretentious Russian director, but for whatever reason, he's the kind of artist that kind of speaks to me on a personal level. Like I kind of feel Tarkovsky in my soul, and I was very excited to check out Nostalgia. And while I would say it's probably my least favorite Tarkovsky movie I've seen so far, although I've only watched it once, I've watched all the other ones a bunch of times, so maybe it'll grow into something that I appreciate more. It's experimental like all of his movies, but in a much different way. It's more of almost like a series of scenes that are kind of monologues about the nature of time and where you kind of fit into the continuum of history and what does that mean for you and how people kind of get tripped up in the past while trying to like live in the present, which destroys their future. There's like lots of themes like that. And he does it in a beautiful lyrical way, as Tarkovsky is known to do. Some beautiful cinematography, some really like sincerely beautiful, heartfelt moments in this movie too. Like if Tarkovsky does anything, he's not like an asshole that is trying to just phone anything in. He gives every part of himself, even in his lesser projects. And because Nostalgia is a weird one, it's like his first non-Russian movie. It's the first movie he ever made outside of the USSR. And it takes place in Italy. And you can kind of tell, like, he himself is a little out of step a little bit. It's new territory for him. And you can kind of feel that in the filmmaking. Like, he's discovering Italy as he's making the movie. And it adds an interesting texture to it. Let me see here. Trembling says, Lone Ranger and John Carter from Mars should have been hits. I agree. Trembling says, does he blow over the grooming the way Jeremy Fragrance does? No, he doesn't. He wallows in the grooming and like wallows in it. Like it's like an entire episode. It's like an hour of watching somebody get raped. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's
wild. It's
exploitative, but it's also like done at the means of the guy telling the story. It's weird. Yeah,
it is. It's a weird, like, kind of vanity piece that
we're reading his diary pretty much. At the
yeah. It was kind of icky.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just felt like icky after watching it.
Yeah.
Let me see. Trembling says, give it a sentence and nothing more. No, not at all. Trembling says, the making of Stalker was so weird, he had to make it twice, essentially. Yes, he did. Because of the damage from the radiation from where they were filming. A lot of the people on the crew, some of the actors died as a result of making that movie like a decade later. Actually, the guy that was supposed to be the lead in Nostalgia had cancer from making Stalker when they started production and couldn't take the lead role and then died while they were making the movie. So there you go. It's Russian. It's got to be tragic. Everything about it's got to be sad and tragic, especially at that time period. It's really interesting because he's like one of these guys that's he has a lot of national pride, and it's in a lot of his work and the way that he kind of uses the landscapes of his country and stuff. Like some really just striking, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Stalker is a movie that everybody should give a chance. You're going to be bored to tears the first time you see it, but please, like, really think about what they're saying, take it in, give it a chance, watch it a couple times. Like it's like a good book. It's like a good poem. Like it's not meant to just be experienced once. You're supposed to go back to it. When you're different as a person, you're going to get different things out of it. And he's just an artist he's that thoughtful. His things are that like kind of layered and nuanced in his work. And probably, I would hate, and I don't hate to say it, but I would say like Tarkovsky, definitely probably my top 3 directors. Love that guy.
He's got to be up there, and like you said too. Stalker's the only film I've ever seen of his in full. But I remember in film school, the first time I kind of wanted to sleep on it a little bit and not really get much out of it. And then in the last few years, I watched a version of it with my brother in full again, and he and I both just kind of like were taken aback by just the visuals and the very small dialogue and just like the world it was building once it actually gets to that point.
Well, I think that's the strongest part of the movie as just like a normie moviegoer is the visual aesthetic of the movie. It's like so gorgeous. And because the whole movie, it's hard to latch onto because it's all abstract conversations about the meaning of existence.
Yeah.
Like that's all they're just kind of in the zone, wandering around, talking to themselves. Like it's a movie that you got to work for it a little bit, but I think the rewards are worth it 100%.
Yeah.
And actually, if anybody is super curious, there is actually an old Goes to the Movies about Stalker that I did with my brother Dan. I made my brother Dan watch it, and we had a really good conversation. It's like an hour. It's well worth your time. Trelmick says, him and Kurosawa are the dudes I've been meaning to get into forever and have recently got the movies of. 2 great people to get into, dude, especially now that you're a little older. You're going to appreciate it, actually. You have enough road behind you where you can kind of actually get into the themes.
Kurosawa was one of my favorites. We share the same birthday, so
oh, do you really?
Putting that out there, yeah.
There you go. Kurosawa. What's your favorite Kurosawa? Do you got a favorite?
Probably Rashomon, I think. But it always fluctuates. I've got to see. There's still like a bunch of films on his filmography from like the latter stuff. Like I've seen more of his black and white films than I have his color films that I need to actually.
Have you seen Ran?
I've seen scenes from Ran, but not.
Oh, motherfucker!
Not
you gotta watch Ran, dude. That's another one. It's kind of like Stalker. You gotta work for it a little bit. It's very glacial, but when that movie pops, it pops.
Hell yeah!
And it's got that amazing Kurosawa like production value where they're like, no, we're gonna build a castle on the side of this mountain and then we're gonna set it on fire. Like, and it's so awesome because he's such like this demure, soft-spoken man. Like you watch like the behind the scenes documentaries and stuff. Like actually there is like a behind the scenes making of Ran. So you see him like on the set and he's just like hanging out, smoking cigarettes, just looking around.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see.
The best directors, by the way, are the ones that smoke cigarettes like on their break and just like
that's what I say.
Think things through. Yeah,
that's what I say. As soon as I start directing movies, I'm going to pick up smoking again. I have to. I want to be a good director. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to wear button-up shirts, slacks, smoke cigarettes. All right, what else you got?
I guess it's like a final piece, and this is more modern, and I think you've probably got your 2 cents on this too. Furiosa, Mad Max.
You did go see it.
I did go see it.
Motherfucker, I should have asked you because I would have gone to see it if I knew that you had. I didn't go.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't go. I'm part of the problem. What did you think? Well, okay, so because we talked about so much Mad Max stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So coming off of a fresh revisit of Fury Road, a long discussion about it, how did you think Furiosa held up? Because I remember we kind of left it where I was going to be like cautiously optimistic because it's George Miller. I'll give it a shot at the very least, but you got to see it. So what did you think?
Well, so I'm really conflicted, Sean, here with this movie because I really did enjoy a lot of what I was seeing and watching. First and foremost, you can tell George Miller really wants to expand on this world as much as he possibly can.
Yeah.
He really wants to give much more of these towns, these areas, the whole wasteland, its character, build it up to what it was becoming before Fury Road. And all of that is great. It's actually really wonderful. And in fact, I would say there was not a bad actor at one point in this movie at all. I thought everybody did a really good job. Especially Chris Hemsworth as Demetrius. I forget his name.
Dementis.
Dementis.
Was he actually good? Was he? Did
He
he show
was.
up? Yeah.
He was, and it's not because like he's got this one like character arc or he's got this one little thing that like makes him stand out from everybody else. Like he's actually evolving as a character behind the scenes, and you see like the downfall of this character very quickly.
Is there like some like political intrigue about who's going to be like king of the wasteland?
Kind of, a
Kind
little
of,
bit. Like
yeah.
there's like a deal that has to be made, and he's not doing a good job to his people. It's okay if I spoil this, like parts of this movie. I mean, it's a prequel, so I don't.
Yeah, you can spoil it.
Yeah.
I don't care.
I mean, basically, like he's becoming like a really, really poor leader over the course of the film, and
They lose faith in him, and then Furiosa has to come and.
yeah, basically, like put a stop to him.
But did she take over his tribe or something?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's all like a very, I wouldn't even call it like righteous vengeance, but it's very specific to her mother being crucified basically by him and his people, and she's slowly like gaining the strength and like growing up to being able to like get back at him.
Yeah.
And do that and make a deal with Emerson Joe and his people and yeah, basically building her own little tribe. And then
Okay.
I would say the film kind of basically ends like right into the beginning of Fury Road, so you could watch them both back to back. Yeah.
Oh, great. So it's like that Star Wars movie where it ends with Princess Leia getting the plans.
Pretty much. Yep.
Oh, god damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I did hear, this is what I've heard. I've heard the first two acts were surprisingly good, and then it kind of starts falling apart. Like, narratively, it's just kind of, they're like, well, you guys like action, right? Like,
Yeah.
does the story need to really make sense? That's what I was told. I haven't seen it, though, so.
Well, so
I'm glad to hear that it's is it worth going to see on the big screen? I mean, I assume it is because of the action, but.
Yeah, I think so. There is a good middle portion, which I would say is like very much akin to what George Miller is really good at as a director, and what all the action sequences that we've seen so far have led up to.
Mm-hmm.
But then I would say the first act and the third act are very much different. It's trying to pave it back a little bit as well. And my two biggest issues is that one, it's too long, and two, it's just unnecessary. Like you don't need this story. You just don't.
That was always my problem with it. I was just like, I don't know why I need to hear this part of this story. Like I just don't. I mean, I would have rather if he had just done like what he wants to do now, which is the Wastelands. I wish he had just done that. Like you want to build out this world, you want to introduce everybody to all these players, all these characters. Why did it have to be like Furiosa? Have to be like just return to do kind of, in my mind, it seems like she just does like the same thing she does in Fury Road. It's like the same character journey. So I'm just like, I don't really understand why. It's like, it reminded me of something that would be like included as a promotional material, like in a comic book. Like that's what the story kind of made me think of. I'm like, oh, this is like the supplemental comic book that came out around the time Fury Road came out, so I would understand Furiosa. But I mean, listen, I'm glad at least in some degree it's entertaining. I mean, I'm sure Anya Taylor-Joy is pretty good. Is she all right?
Yeah, she was fine. Nothing like outstanding, but she was committed to the role. She's kind of a standout because like it is a mostly Australian movie, even more so than Fury Road, and she's kind of speaking in that very sort of Furiosa tone and inflection where it's like, oh yeah, you're just you sound American.
What about the guy who took over Immortan Joe?
He was okay. He didn't have many scenes. It was definitely a different actor, definitely also a different tone of voice compared to what we would see like coming up.
It did the thing that I really can't stand is when they do prequels and stuff and they're wearing the same outfit.
Yeah.
I don't know why it bothers me. I'm like, oh look, it's the Immortan Joe costume. I'm glad I'm glad they were able to get that.
Okay, I'll spoil one other thing. Actually, is this okay if I spoil this?
Yeah.
The end credits, they cut to flashbacks to Mad Max Fury Road and like leading up to it, and then you sit there wondering like, Okay, so George, did you not really have any faith in like this movie, like maybe possibly being better than the last film you did? Like you have to remind people of like the movie that like blew up at the box office and whatnot.
So when you leave the theater, you're thinking of Fury Road.
Yeah,
He's planting that seed back in your brain.
yeah,
That was awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I might go try to check it out this weekend if I have time, but I don't know. It's like I said kind of before when we watched the trailer. It's like I don't feel like a huge impulse to run out and watch it. I'm much more geared up to watch it though because we talked about Fury Road and the other Mad Max movies, so that kind of put me in the mood definitely, just to be in that environment. And I know that I heard that the stunt work, while impressive, is a lot less practical.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot more digital imagery here. A lot more green screen backgrounds. I would not be surprised. We talked about this briefly, but like I would not be surprised if there was some AI trickery done in this film that people are going to get mad about in the next few months.
Oh, I'm sure. You
Yeah.
know it's going to be in every fucking
Yeah.
movie. There's not going to be a single movie that comes out. Even Mass State Lottery has been augmented by AI, okay? It's all coming together. Stoffer says, I upgraded my movie chat website so anyone can control the movies that play and other new things. Let me know if you want the link. I posted it a while back. Yeah, you're free to post it if you want to, Stoffers. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about that I've watched recently, well, I'll mention briefly, I rewatched Paul Schrader's Cat People, which is a crazy movie. And I liked it a lot more this time than the first time I watched it. The first time I watched it, I kind of bounced off of it a little bit, but I kind of just embraced the vibes, as the kids say. It's a movie about vibes. It's more than it's like about anything that makes any fucking sense. But yeah, it's good. I liked it. It's not a remake. It's kind of like a remake in the same way that The Thing is a remake. You know, where they just kind of he took very vaguely took the concept and kind of did his own thing. Have you ever seen that? Have you ever?
Oh
seen
yeah,
it?
no,
Yeah.
I've seen it like a bunch of times. He made it erotic. He made it something completely different, and I actually edited a short film in college, completely based on the soundtrack of that film.
Ooh.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and
The soundtrack is pretty banging. Even even the David Bowie song. But just
yeah.
the score itself is actually pretty great for Cat
Right.
People. What's her name? The actress.
she's a model, I think, first and foremost.
Natasha Kinski.
Yeah.
Isn't she the daughter of the actor that worked? Let me see here. Born as German actress, former model. I thought she was somebody's daughter. Occupation, spouse, parents. Quincy Jones. Oh, I guess not. No, where's parents? Partners. Parents. Klaus Kinski. Yeah, that's right. Klaus Kinski, the actor, the guy who worked with what's his face? The guy who directed The Grizzly Man, the documentary.
Oh, yeah.
German guy. You know what I'm talking about.
Herzog.
Herzog. Thank you.
Yeah.
Klaus Kinski. He worked with Werner Herzog a bunch. Most famously, he did the Nosferatu. But whenever she would smile, sometimes I would see her dad's face, and it would freak me the fuck out. Like every once in a while, like, because she's a really striking woman, like a really striking creature, if you will. And but every once in a while, she would just smile, and I would see her dad's like fucked up, crazy eyes. I was like, oh my god, that's exactly what would happen to me if I were to ever be in coitus with her. I'd just see her dad. Tremix says Cat People is all about vibes, the music, and Natasha Kinski's hot ass. Yeah,
Yes.
it really it really is, and there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. And the last thing I'll talk about, just because I think it's worth mentioning, is I rewatched Paul Verhoeven's 1992 classic Basic Instinct. So I had watched Fatal Attraction a few weeks ago. I did a short little review on the channel if people want to check it out. But that made me want to watch Basic Instinct. I'm in the mood for Michael Douglas 90s thrillers. And dude, Basic Instinct is so fucking stupid, but so awesome at the same time. Like, Verhoeven directed the shit out of that movie. It is so great. It is so trashy and campy, and everything that he's like trying to accomplish with something like Showgirls and just kind of whiffs it, he kind of gets right in Basic Instinct. It gets the balance correct. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the cast. Like Michael Douglas is just really great in it. Even though the dialogue in this movie, I would implore people, if you haven't watched Basic Instinct in a while, watch the movie and pay attention to the dialogue. It is some of the most ham-fisted, corny bullshit, which is, and it's kind of sort of by design, but sort of not. The guy who wrote it is Joe Esterhaus. He also wrote Showgirls. For all you cool kids out there.
Makes sense.
Yes, no, but you can hear his dialogue. And then so when you watch Showgirls, you hear people that are not great actors trying to do it. And then you watch Basic Instinct, and there's actually like some real quality actors in that movie, and they can handle it. They can just kind of sell it. Trelling says, Michael Douglas couldn't keep his dick out of Crazy in the late 80s and early 90s. This is true. This is true. I don't think I could have either if I was Michael Douglas. Holy shit. There's something about Michael Douglas. He has like an everyman quality with a little extra. There's like a little extra there that makes him just kind of interesting to watch. I could watch Michael Douglas movies all day. I don't know why.
Yeah. He's always like very antsy, like, or on edge in so many movies. I think that's what like kind of that's what it brings off to a lot of people, for at least for me. But
well, because he's often asked to do that. But he has like a neurotic quality to him, especially if you think about him in The Game. Yeah, which is kind of like the quintessential. It's like a period at the end of like his 90s thriller era is that movie. It's The Game. It's like the culmination of all of those characters.
Yeah.
Let me see. Trembling says, then he goes out to eat Catherine Zeta-Jones's pussy so much it gave him cancer. I know. What a king. What a fucking king. Hagbard says, more importantly, he couldn't keep his tongue out of him. That's true. This is all true. I've heard it all. It's all true. But, dude, Basic Instinct was so much fun. I had so much fun revisiting that movie. It's got Hitchcock's discipline as a filmmaker, and then Verhoeven's penchant for sleaze, like his lurid eye. And it's kind of like probably what Hitchcock would have liked to have done, honestly, with some of his lead actresses.
At the time, yeah.
I mean, because the whole movie, you're like, did they make this whole movie so these guys could stand around and see Sharon Stone naked or something?
Well, yeah, that whole leg cross, like... It's before my time, but like I know everybody was just like, okay, we gotta pause and take a look here.
Well, it's kind of weird because the movie for its time was like the most boundary pushing, like rated R movie. It was like in that category, spoken of like, shouldn't this be NC-17? And I think there is actually an NC-17 cut. That's the one that's probably widely available these days. But it's actually very tame by modern standards, and it goes pretty hard. But I was like, by modern standards, I was like, well, this is actually not that crazy. Like, in modern times, like Sharon Stone barely sets off a red flag, compared to the girls that you see on those TikTok videos these days. Those borderline personality girls are a lot crazier than they used to be, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
Trembling says, Newman sweating so hard in that scene cracks me up. Oh, dude. It's a great moment. Honestly, the movie is so impeccably cast because like Verhoeven just filled like the detectives and stuff with like interesting character actors, Wayne Knight being one of them. Just like, why would you hire Wayne Knight to be one of the cops? Why would you hire Newman to be one of the cops? You know what I mean? It's not your first thought, I suppose. But it adds something to it. It kind of gives it a weird groundedness.
Yeah.
That there's like normal people amongst the gorgeous Michael Douglas and Sharon Stone,
If there's one thing I remember too, like it has a very like eerie soundtrack that just makes it all seem like, oh yeah, you're down in some deep shit. You're not gonna get out of
this. Dude, the soundtrack is baller too. It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. Austin says, "Hi guys, what's up, Austin?
Hey,
what's
Austin.
going on, pal? All right,
welcome."
Well, I think that concludes the what we've been watching portion. And then now we're going to dive right into our review. Today we're going to be talking about 1999's The Mummy. The film is directed by Stephen Sommers, written by Stephen Sommers, Lloyd Fonville, and Kevin Jarre. It stars Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, Arnold Vosloo, John Hannah, Kevin J. O'Connor, Corey Johnson, Stephen Dunham, Oded Fair, and others. The logline plot synopsis is: at an archaeological dig in the ancient city of Hamunaptra, an American serving in the French Foreign Legion accidentally awakens a mummy who begins to wreak havoc as he searches for the reincarnation of his long-lost love. And before we get started, let's check out this little TV spot.
On May 7th,
Oh my God, it does exist.
Universal Pictures presents a world you never imagined,
I call it the doorway to hell.
a mystery you never expected,
This man was buried alive.
and an adventure you will never forget. The Mummy, rated PG-13, starts Friday at theaters everywhere.
Now, are you going to try to tell me that you don't want to run out to a theater right now and watch The Mummy? Well, you might be able to in some parts of the country. It is the 25th anniversary. This movie came out 25 years ago, and it is having a few revival screenings here and there across the country. I actually missed the one that was playing near me. This is the OG summer blockbuster for the modern era, actually. This coming out in May. This is the first big summer blockbuster that came out in May, and then after this, from this point onwards, summer movie season starts in May. There you go.
Yeah, Star Wars, right? It was right after this, right? Or episode one?
Or right before, was it? I don't even know. This came out in May. When does episode 1 come out?
99. I just don't know, like, when, like, yeah, month-wise. I assume that was always like a May release, but
May 19th. So this came out 12 days after The Mummy, and The Mummy still killed at the box office, everybody.
Nice.
Oh, they were calling they called up Stephen Sommers the day it came out, and they said, we need another one now. And that's why The Mummy 2 is the way The Mummy Returns is the way The Mummy Returns is. But anyways, so I know this is a personal favorite of yours. Jeremy will be here. He's covered the PS1 video game on his YouTube channel.
yeah.
Yeah. So you're a big fan. You're going all the way back.
Yeah, I mean, this was a videotape that definitely circulated in my household at the time. We all loved The Mummy. Even my dad, who was always like, so like, what's going on with this whole blockbuster craze and whatnot. No, he was actually into this too. This was one of those films that just kind of came out of the blue. I didn't really discover like the Universal horror roots until years later.
Sure.
I might have James Rolfe a little bit to thank for that. Some of that. Who
Yeah,
knows?
100%.
But, you know, this was the first, like, PG-13 action blockbuster videotape that, like, hit stores that I watched with my parents, and we had a blast. And if it was ever supposed to be marketed as something scary, it never was. I guess I just didn't have a problem with any of the scary elements of the movie.
Stephen Sommers even sometimes describes it as a horror movie. I'm like, no, it's not.
No.
Like, what are you talking about? It's an adventure movie. Like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. And by this point, I've already seen Star Wars, Indiana Jones. I've seen a lot of the other influences too. I've seen serials that were influencing this movie.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that was like standing out in that regard, but I loved just how fun it was and how it never slows itself down. It finds, even at the young age of 5, I found that it was just like a perfect pace, and it was like a good family watch. And then I'll bring it up later too, but like the other film that was circulating a lot was the original Scorpion King movie.
Yeah.
Which will come later, but that was another one that was just like, okay, yeah, the fun, the action, the adventure, it's all here, you know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Trembling says, I can't. Let me see. I can't even figure out how many times I've seen this movie. I'm in the same. I am in the same boat.
Yeah.
Trembling says, this is a movie my grandmother watched constantly and uncomfortably commented on how hot she found the Magi leader dude with the face tats. It's night and day how entertaining this one is compared to what a crushing bore the original Mummy is. It's the worst of the Universal horror movies by far. That's generally what people say. And also, it stands also against the Mummy, the one that came out in 2017.
Yep.
I mean, when you think about they're both trying to achieve like the same goal, and one is just completely fucked by basically just studio bullshit trying to create the dark universe, and this one gets this to be a wild, fun adventure serial.
Yeah.
That clearly had an auteurist kind of eye behind it. Like, Stephen Sommers wanted to recreate one of these in the same way that, Spielberg and Lucas wanted to do that with Star Wars and Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He's pulling from this very similar references. But yeah, so for me, how old was I when this came out? So I was like 13 years old, kind of like a perfect age for something like this. Somehow I end up missing it in the theater, even though I was really kind of stoked for it because I would see the TV spots, but I end up missing it when it's in the theater and catching up with it when it's on VHS. My mom actually bought it for me for my birthday. Can you believe that? She brought me the VHS for my birthday, and it got a ton of play. It was a big movie in our house. Just kind of like with your family, it's one that everybody liked and everybody could hang out and watch together. So we would watch it kind of a lot. And the reason why I like it is a lot of the same reasons you said. There's something about it that just feels so earnest and pure in a weird way, even though it is like a gross studio monstrosity at the same time. Yeah. But for whatever reason, I think they really did, like, either Stephen Sommers' sensibilities and the studio's like wants kind of aligned, and it just ended up being a perfect match for the time. But yeah, you can really tell that there's somebody that like deeply has a deep affection for this kind of material, because it's a very there's so much attention to detail in every aspect of the production, and they really blew the doors off of it. It's like a great, even today in 1999, from 1999 and 2024, it actually holds up really well, even aesthetically, which I was kind of impressed by because of how CGI heavy it is. Like, it's almost now it's aged in a way that makes it feel like an aesthetic choice with the CGI, like the way it looks. Because I actually have the 4K somewhere. Here it is. I got the 4K of it. And it actually looks pretty good. I think I actually kind of like the way it looks, even with the CG and stuff. Like, it pops. It was like they just got the balance right. Because it does look a little silly and cartoony, but so does, it would look the same way if it was a puppet. And it's very much closer to a puppet than an overly done CGI situation.
Yeah.
Trelling says this one pulls actually a lot from the later Mummy movies from the 50s when Universal gave it another go and went in an adventure direction instead of horror. Those are pretty underseen. Yes, 100%.
With like Christopher Lee and those guys.
Yeah.
And that's good that you bring up like what it ended up turning into, because this started off like when they were bouncing through directors.
Oh yeah,
we want to get Clive Barker to do this. Oh, it's gonna be really this like dark, bloody, gory thing, and then
they were gonna do like an indie, low budget horror movie with Clive Barker.
Yeah.
I mean, they courted Wes Craven at one point, was offered just to work on the Mummy project. Like the studio wasn't like shepherding something. They didn't have a script that they were like kind of shopping around. They were going to people and trying to get development deals. And I'm not really sure how Stephen Sommers ends up getting the gig at the end of the day. I'm not really sure, because before this he did what was it, Deep Rising, right?
Deep Rising, and that didn't gain like cult status until like near the end of like that decade. Really, yeah.
I remember it being on and people watching it, but I don't know. I remember always seeing the cover at the movie rental place.
Yeah. I know another director that they were planning on getting on board was Joe Dante. And he wanted Daniel Day-Lewis to play the Mummy.
The Mummy, yeah.
Which would have been
he would have made a much more like reverent to the original film, I think.
Yeah.
He would have been going for, especially if you're going to cast Daniel Day-Lewis, like it would make sense that it would be more of like a direct one-to-one remake. Mm-hmm. Trembling says Rachel Weisz is retardedly hot. She's a little hotter in the second one, I think, but still. No, dude, I had a huge crush on Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
No Lies Detected definitely got me through my awkward years. You know what I mean? Let me see. Deep Rising is a fun, entertaining movie. It would be good nightcap material. Yeah, that might be a good one for a stream.
Sure.
Deep Rising. It's pretty fun because it's like almost good. It's like I enjoy it for what it is, but it's pretty corny, I would say.
Yeah.
Even for what it is at times. But
well, Shaun, how was your overall rewatch of The Mummy? I don't know, in preparation for this, like just in full, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna like
be
analyze and be more critical about it. Like, how did that come about? And then, yeah, I'll give my take afterwards. But
yeah, no, I think it held up really well. Like, I think it's aged very well, actually, and especially in juxtaposition of the types of movies that come out now that are supposed to be the same in the same vein. Because there's just so much more texture to this movie. Like, the characters are really not just likable and well cast, but also well drawn in the script. Like, they do a good job of setting everybody up. Like, you know exactly who they are, exactly the types of archetypes that they're playing, and I think it works really well. I would say that maybe if I had my only real complaint is that maybe I think it's a little too long. I think you could probably lose 15 minutes. That second act, when they're going through all of the plagues. And Imhotep gaining his strength back, sucking on some dudes. That goes on for a long time. Like it's almost, to me, it was like almost like one too many like little moments or set pieces or something in that section. But that's a pretty minor complaint, honestly. Like it's not something that I think is overly detrimental or anything. I was just like, well, we could probably tighten that up a little bit just for pacing, but. There's also a lot of good character stuff in those moments, so you don't want to lose that stuff. So it's got its reasons to be there, and I appreciated that it tries to be, and successfully is, a full-rounded, well-rounded, full-bodied movie. It's not just a vehicle for CGI set pieces, which I kind of was chuckling at myself about because I remember listening to the reviews when it came out, and that's what the reviewers were saying, that it's like a dull, empty, shallow CGI fest. I was like, buddy, come on, 25 years into the future, I'll show you one of those.
Yeah, not the first one at least. Yeah.
Have you seen the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah.
Does your son make you watch that all the time? No. Yeah. But yeah, like I really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed coming back to it. I really do not have a ton of like bad things to say about it, honestly. This is mostly for me is going to be like a little bit of a love fest. But
yeah.
But what about yourself, Jeremy? What did you think coming back to it? Is this something that you've kind of come back to occasionally over the years, or was this like the first time in a while? Or
I mean, like on occasion, like scenes, clips, and memes and things like that. But watching it as a whole, after maybe like a few years, as something that we would watch. Yeah, retroactively, like it's the humor is there, the fun is there, like there is something to really say about like every character in there. Like, everybody gives a nuance,
and everybody gets a moment too. Like Sommers like balances it so well.
Yes, I'm that was what impressed me the most, was that like everybody is not boring. There's something to everybody, and I wrote a note here. Yeah, and I've probably talked about this before on the show, but film blocking in just like in any movie right now is missing nowadays.
Yes,
and I especially like place it on the scene where Rick is like packing all of Evelyn's things back into her suitcase, and the way they just hold on that shot, that acting is like unheard of right now. Like it like, no, like on like a mainstream level. But
yeah,
like,
well, yeah, because it's called business. You're giving the characters business. They're doing
giving them something to do. Yeah. Stuff like that, like really just like takes me back. Like, oh, this was how it used to be, and that's a lot. That's a lot of credit to like all the actors, but also just like the amount of research they went into filming on these locations, and even having like an Egyptologist like on set, and even in pre-production to make sure that they were pronouncing these words correctly and giving it that sort of, even though it's so fictionalized, a very authentic sort of sense of itself.
Well, it does, because it feels authentically in the place that it's supposed to take place. Like it does get that across very, very well. Even if only in like a meta movie way.
Yeah.
Because it looks like they look like in movies, right? Like
Exactly.
they do a great job of like kind of recreating that feel.
Yeah, that serial kind of vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things, actually, one of the big things I loved about it was the sets. I mean,
Yes.
they're massive. Like, you know, especially for some of the stuff that happens towards the end of the movie. I was thinking about, you know, the scene where Benny almost gets crushed as everybody's escaping at the end of the movie, and he gets out and his thing goes out and he gets eaten by the scabbards. But I was thinking about the platform that's coming down to crush Benny.
Me too.
And I was,
me
and I was,
too.
and I was looking at it and I was like, that's a real fucking thing.
Yes.
That's a real thing on a hydraulic lift that they built. That's awesome.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't do that now. They
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Don't crush him, please. Don't crush him. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not even just the safety of it. It's like, no, that's like a real physical set
Yeah.
that they got to inhabit and work in. And and especially with a movie like that is so fantastical and so wild, like the more you can do to kind of support the grounded parts of it, the better. It just makes that fantastical stuff work so much better because it registers with you more. It feels more real because it exists in a tangible reality that you understand. And that's all that stuff that goes on in your subconscious. And I think we've really lost something like with that, with kind of modern blockbuster filmmaking, even something like the newer Indiana Jones. Like
Oh, absolutely.
It's so like, I mean, that movie cost $250 million and it just looks like cheap shit. And you could just tell, like, they don't want to do that kind of craftsmanship anymore. They just don't want to anymore. It's not cost effective or something. I don't know what the reason is, but they just don't want to. I think, well, actually, you know what I think it is? Because they start $250 million productions with like no scripts, so they have no idea what they need for sets. But anyway, sorry.
No, I was gonna like quickly ask, like, this movie was only about like 13 million, right? Or not even like that much compared.
It's got to be more than that.
Yeah. I mean, I know the sequels get like racked up, but I thought that for sure this one was like they're kind of playing a gamble a little bit with just the title alone, and then what they were doing with Industrial Light and Magic to get the effects that they wanted to get.
Yeah.
Which I would assume was probably like the highest part of the budget.
$80 million. This is an $80 million. Movie.
Okay, all right. So
for the
I'm way
time,
off.
You could adjust that for inflation. It's
Yeah.
like 120, 150 probably.
Okay.
I know that The Mummy 2 has a much bigger budget than this did. But
Yeah.
most of that is the special effects. Like
Yeah.
it's almost every. I think Stephen Sommers said that every special effects shot cost like $140,000 just for each individual shot. So like pricey, and they had to do things like they had to. I guess Rachel Wise, when she's in that sheer outfit, like when it would get wet, you could see through it. So they had to actually go and digitally paint it, like frame by frame,
I see.
paint out her nipples.
Yeah.
I wish I could have had that job. Trembling says they don't make anyone a stupid, useless character like they would now. Even Jonathan, while slimy shit, is capable. This is very true.
Yep.
All of the characters are good and capable. Like there's not a lot of idiots, except for maybe the fat Egyptian dude. One that gets scarab. Isn't he the first guy that gets killed by the scarabs?
Yeah, he's the one like his neck would not break. We'll see what happens.
Oh, and I miss that guy. I remember that
Yeah.
guy used to show up in movies all the time.
Yeah.
And now where is he? We need to see. That's what we're missing. We're missing like character in movies, like texture, like by hiring a guy like that.
Yeah.
Who is like a real weirdo. Apparently he wouldn't wear underwear in his costumes. Another thing they had to do is digitally paint out his balls.
Mm-hmm.
In a few shots, because when he's fighting the scarabs, like he kept flashing everybody. Yeah. Trembling says, I've always liked that Rick gives Benny so many chances to redeem himself that he never takes. Yeah, because Rick is a hero. It's kind of awesome to watch something where your hero is unambiguously a hero, you know? And Brendan Fraser fucking kills it in this movie. Oh my God. I would let Brendan Fraser sweep me off my feet. I'd be like, get over here, O'Connell. But he's so good. He slotted into this role so good. And obviously this comes off after his big success with George of the Jungle. A movie I did see in theater. I saw that at the drive-ins, actually.
That was my first Brendan Fraser movie that I watched, and then like seeing him back to back. My parents kind of teased us as kids, who like, oh, that's just George's Jungle's like twin brother. He's in this movie or something like that. But he is outstanding. Like he really does like get into that role.
A perfect movie star turn, right?
Yeah.
Like it's and ironically, like they offered it to Leonardo DiCaprio, almost took it. He was the first person they offered. He almost took it, but he had conflicts with making The Beach.
Oh.
And he tried actually to get them to push back the production of The Beach so he could do The Mummy, but they couldn't do it because they had already started the process or whatever. But they did offer it to Tom Cruise back in the day. He declined. I think Jake Gyllenhaal maybe as well. I think maybe he declined. Because, he wanted to wait until he got a chance to make Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Yeah, before he did his Sword and Sandals movie. But yeah, Fraser is so good. Rachel Weisz is adorable.
Yes.
I mean, how can you not fall in love with Evelyn in The Mummy?
When she's in that library. Oh yeah, is this the rating section of the the review?
What?
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
Who would do such a thing?
No, that librarian outfit, when
the
she's
whole
like
vibe.
When
It's
she's
the whole
stuck
vibe,
on the ladder, I'm like, okay, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Good on you, Evie.
And Rachel Weisz is great because she plays it like she's soft and sweet and feminine, but also strong. She finds the right balance between like girl boss and like a real person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like where she still gets to be the damsel, but also not like an idiot. Like I think they found the balance really, really well with her. Because she does get to kind of stand on her own, if you will.
Oh yeah, especially when like Aksuna Noon is like trying to stab her like in the climax. Like yeah, of course she's got to like fight for herself for a little bit. It's a great action sequence by the end. Yeah.
Oh, it is. All the businesses they're doing, especially between her and Jonathan. Jonathan is another just wonderful character. Like the movie is just full of great characters. I mean, like every time I think about Benny, like I start to smile.
Yeah.
Like he's so like Kevin J. O'Connor it's like an all-timer performance. It's like one of those things that will be like remembered independent of the movie, or at least it should be, because it's the greatest slimeball heel character ever. I love it so much. I love his relationship, like Trembling had brought up earlier with O'Connell.
Yeah. Like
this real love-hate older brother, little brother thing they have. And for some reason O'Connell just can't quit him. He just can't give up on him,
Yeah. They keep coming back.
Think of my children. You don't have any children. I might someday.
Yeah.
And I also like that the movie allows for things like that. Those little movie moments, little one-liners, little quips. There's tons of little great little jokes and looks to the camera kind of, Brendan Fraser looking all dashing, saying something cool. But I do also like that they don't make him like some cheesy macho archetype. Like he is fallible. Evie does kind of gets him out of a few pinches too. Mm-hmm. But he's not like a soy boy. Like he's very capable.
He's not incompetent. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not an incompetent buffoon. He's not like Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China. Which is the joke. I know everybody. I'm making another joke.
But all of those one-offs, like, hey, O'Connell, looks like I've got all the horses. Like, hey, Benny, looks like you're on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah, on the wrong side of the river. Yeah, some great Brendan Fraser stuff,
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of because he does that shit in tons of movies.
Yeah,
his Fraserisms. Trembling says the way Fraser whips that chair at Benny in that one scene always cracks me up. Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. Spring cleaning?
That's right, yeah. It's so good. And the movie is peppered with these little moments that are just like joy. They're like film joy. Mm-hmm. You're just like, oh, that makes me feel warm inside. And I don't know if that's like, all nostalgia or just I really just because we live in such dire times. Like, I really just like, this is like pre 9/11 optimism. Like, yeah, we can have fun and not everything has to be like dark and have some weird subtext to it, or if they even bother to have subtext. But like, it just, you know, it doesn't have to be some sort of fucking depressing angle to it. Like, even what they did in The Mummy 2017, it had to be like this grim, dark, fucking tortured hero bullshit. It's like, no, I just want to watch like a pure, fun adventure movie. Like, can we do that? Can we not? Like, and nowadays we get fucking Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, where Indiana Jones is a doddering old man. It's like, no. That's why they got to not make a Mummy 4. Okay, we have to stop it if they try.
Well, dude, 99 was like that's such a beautiful time where they found that balance. They found a way to just like channel both of those tones and do it pretty well and make you feel like, oh yeah, that was a fun film. Like, that wasn't, you know, depressing and it wasn't scary, but it was fun and good, and you know, yeah, like I came out of it okay. It's
I don't have like indifferent feelings about it. Like, I like it.
Yeah,
it was good. I don't have to have. There's no caveats. There's no conflicts. I don't have to put on my critic's cap and be like, well, actually, not really. I really don't have to. Like, it's just kind of a very pleasurable experience. And I do think, honestly, a lot of it has to do, that feeling, with how oppressive the modern popular landscape is for movies. How much it is just noise, like just nonsense. And which is ironic because this is the movie that kicks off that era. It kicks off the giant CGI monstrosity. Stephen Sommers is responsible for a few of them himself.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to we get into Van Helsing or even his G.I. Joe movies, it's like he just had that dial cranked up just a little bit too much. I mean, I suppose even by Mummy Returns, he's already kind of in that territory. But The Mummy, the 1999 Mummy, no such qualms, no such worries.
Yeah, no, because The Mummy Returns, or Van Helsing, or even if you want to go years later into G.I. Joe, they start to kind of mimic a little bit of some of those editing practices that, because Mummy Returns was like 2001. I would have been 6 or 7. I remember when that came out, I was in Australia at the time, and it was big there too. They start to kind of mimic a lot of those like editing decisions. Like, we're going to do like rapid frame rate, action.
Music video stuff.
You get like a little bit more crazy with the shutter, and
which The Mummy is not like that at all. Like,
the first one is not. Yeah.
It's very traditional,
Yeah.
and I think like that's why maybe it just almost like feels good to watch.
Yeah,
it doesn't like hurt your fucking head. Like, it's not assaulting you with its style.
No,
it's not Mick G. Although I am a soft defender of Charlie's Angels, so I'll have you know.
That's totally okay.
Listen,
no, but the Mummy was setting out. It was not setting out originally to have a sequel. And
no,
when you watch it,
no.
you're like, okay, cool, then and done. We're good.
Yeah, they ride off into the sunset. It's great.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like franchise brand, so they weren't worried about that. But it's also, it got to be he set it out to make, which was like a traditional adventure movie. And then once we get to Mummy Returns, we're kind of getting into like the convoluted, overwritten, like just silly shit, especially when they brought in the kids and everything. But like, even Evie being so directly tied to what's going on, you're like, this is like too much.
Yeah,
this is too much. I mean, I actually don't hate The Mummy Returns. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, no. I remember liking it fine last I watched it in full. I watched scenes of it like leading up to this review, but I will say I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's like, oh, the CG just like went totally horrible. Like, what were they doing like at the time? Yeah, CG aside, for the most part, like
it's worse in Returns than in The Mummy.
It is worse. I forgive some aspects, but there's like little things where I'm like, okay, you could have easily done that in like on camera rather than you know.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they do, like, I find, like, well, at least the first one, like, they do, I think he strikes an okay balance. It's definitely too much CGI. I would have preferred if there was some more practical stuff there. But like I said, because of the passage of time and stuff, like, it is kind of, it's almost like an aesthetic choice, it looks like. Yeah. It's only that way, it only has that sense because of the passage of time. That wasn't what they were doing at the time. But I was impressed by how well it held up, I guess. And that the stylization kind of just fit with most of the world that they were kind of filling that stuff in with. Mm-hmm. And I thought it kind of matched pretty okay. But when they do The Mummy Returns, the turnaround on that was so fast that there's a lot of shoddy work. I mean, famously, when the Scorpion King comes busting out, that's, usually shows up on lists of like worst CGI moments in movie history, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's is it a content reactor or something? There's some, they watch like stunt videos.
Oh, yeah. Who are you talking about? The something the collective learning. Corridor Crew.
Corridor Crew. That's it. They actually did. They fixed it. They went in and because sometimes they'll do things like that. They'll take like an old movie clip and like, oh, can we improve it or fix it or whatever? And they used some of their software and stuff, and they were able to kind of make a slightly better version. Yeah, of the Scorpion King. It's pretty entertaining. Trelling says, I've always liked the catching their breath part of the movie back in Cairo after they've awakened Imhotep best. Yeah, well, when they get to hang out, and that's when all the plagues start happening. When they're drinking, it turns to blood.
Yep, classic scene.
But what do you think of the what did you think of the production design?
Oh, like absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of miniatures in this movie.
Yes,
which I always forget about. Stuff that they blew up like as they had their actors like running away from the screen. Just like wonderful things that they built. Like when Rick O'Connell, like his first opening scene, when him and Benny basically retreat. All of those like cinder blocks falling down was all pretty much real. Like they actually filmed all of that and made it look as good as possible. The sand like really exhumes off screen as well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's got a great look to it.
It's impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, the cinematographer is Adrian Biddle. Unfortunately, he has passed away. He did a few other things of note. He was the cinematographer on Aliens, Thelma and Louise, which actually kind of made sense for this movie, actually, in a weird way. 1492, Conquest of Paradise, and V for Vendetta. That was his last one.
That one makes sense a little bit.
He also did Reign of Fire, Shanghai Nights. This guy worked. Laws of Attraction, Bridget Jones. He also did Event Horizon. That makes sense. I could see that.
Yeah.
Holy Man. The World Is Not Enough. Man, he's what a jobber this guy is.
Yeah.
He did good work. I can see why he worked a lot. Yeah, no, I really loved all that. I loved all the attention to detail. Like, I think they recreate the period, or at least the facsimile of the movie version of the period, very well. And like you had said earlier, when they had Egyptologists and stuff on set, all the hieroglyphics allegedly are accurate in terms of what they're supposed to say. They actually match that. But yeah, because you really do get like sucked into the world, and I think like all of that attention to detail really pays off. Really pays off. Yeah. Because there's nothing that kind of like breaks the illusion for me. There's something doesn't like, how something might like stick out and then you're just like can't let it go. You're like, you've seen it and now you can't unsee it. Yeah. I don't really have any problems like that with The Mummy.
Yeah, I know you're using the backdrop for this stream with one of the other, I guess, 25th anniversary edition covers, but that original cover where it's just the pyramids and the sand face like completely like blending in, I think is like an awesome. I mean, that's what drew me when we rented it at Blockbuster when it came out to go watch it. Was just like, oh, this looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's simple. It doesn't give away the actors, doesn't give away the plot, doesn't tell you too much about anything. Just
No, it's kind of just selling you on the concept itself, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to get people. Well, because it is mostly for at the time relatively unknown people, except for Brendan Fraser, and he'd only really have that one big hit. I mean, he'd been around for a while, for like Encino Man and shit like that, but his first big hit is George of the Jungle.
Yep.
Trelling says 1492 is an underrated Ridley Scott movie, in my opinion. Columbus movie. We'll never get another one of those unless he's foaming at the mouth evil. I've never seen that movie. I should check it out. I'm kind of a big Ridley Scott fan. I've become more of a Ridley Scott fan in the past 5 years than the previous. I've really come to appreciate him as a filmmaker. He's just like a workhorse.
Oh yeah.
He just kind of he's got this weird blue collar attitude. It's just work. And he likes to work.
I just rewatched Gladiator a few weeks ago. I'm like, why am I loving this so much?
Gladiator's good, man, especially if you haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah.
That was a movie we watched all the time when I was a kid. Holy shit. Gladiator and Braveheart. All the time. But I revisited that a year ago, and I was like, man, this is really fucking great.
Yeah.
This is fucking rad. Again, we just don't make shit like that anymore. We don't do it on that scale. We don't do it in that way. Holy shit. Even Ridley Scott tries. He tries, Napoleon. Napoleon was okay. Everybody should chill out. Although apparently that 4-hour cut is not a thing, which I was really bummed about.
Oh, no.
Because that movie needs some breathing room, we'll say. But anyways, going back to The Mummy. I love all the little stuff the MacGuffin in the movie, the key. I just love the texture of it, the way that it looked.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like I said, it just kind of just makes it all the more relatively speaking believable, I suppose.
Sure.
But yeah.
No, there was a lot of attention to detail in all of this. You've got the key to the book of Hamanatra. Oh, is this the golden book? No, this is the book of the dead. It's all the things are leading up, and it's so funny. In one of these scenarios, that Evelyn is the one that kind of causes the problems. In a typical situation, whatever movie you would pace it now, some doofus would I don't know, screw something up in a remake of this, and she's got to. They all collectively have to kind of correct it a little bit, but they call her out come on, dude. Yeah.
Well, that's another really great thing that it does. I think Sommers really has a great balance between kind of set pieces and character stuff, and intermingling the two different elements, which is where you get a lot of those great little movie moments, those little quips and stuff like that. But if you think of the boat raid, I mean, that whole sequence when they're on the boat is just so much fun. The whole thing is so much fun, and also you get to learn a lot about the characters, the types of people they are. That's kind of when you first really figure out how duplicitous Benny is. That's when you kind of find out that Rick is very selfless in a way. He is actually a hero. You see that Evelyn's not helpless, you get a lot of character stuff through the action, and it's really, really well done. It's just really well thought out, because it gives you all of that information without stopping. And that's another thing with the movie. The movie never stops.
No.
Every scene, something happens, right?
Sure.
Almost every moment. There's very few quiet moments in The Mummy. And if there is a quiet moment, it's always punctuated by a big dramatic something happening. Yeah. When Rick and Evelyn are by the fire and they're she's kind of coming on to him. Well, that's when Emotep wakes up, right?
You're right, yeah.
She's
a little drunk and yeah. No, and even little relationships too, even when Ardith Bay comes around and says you know what, we're brothers. We can make this happen. We'll win this fight together. It's it's cartoonish, but it's very natural for this film.
Yes. Yeah, because you are familiar with what it's drawing from,
Yeah.
and it's doing a good approximation of it, and that kind of just makes you happy. You want it to conform to the structure, like you want it to. You don't want it to deviate too much from what you think it is, like the serial adventure story. And there's a lot of things like that are like corny or kind of silly or contrived, but they need to be there. And if they're not there, you're like, why isn't that there?
Yeah.
Trembling says the gunshots had a real impact in this, even though it was all digital, so no real squibs. They need to study how to do that better these days. Gunshots are so lame now. I'm trying to think, like gunshots in the movies. I mean, John Wick does it okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's examples throughout the years, but I never really noticed it in this movie, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. It's not something I ever thought of. But now that you did bring it up, I am thinking about it because there's a lot of especially in the sound design, the way the bullet whizzing by and the way that it hits like the way that it like hits the surface or hits like the wood on the ship and it kind of like blows things up, kind of like those old bullets would. Mm-hmm. Again, more attention to detail.
Yeah.
From The Mummy.
I was gonna say my secret MVP, if it's not Kevin J. O'Connor, who does a fantabulous job as Benny, kind of being a mix of just like whiny, unsure of himself, but also just like
he's so good.
The little brother who is so wonderful and enjoyable. I really enjoy Bernard Fox as the Captain Winston pilot. You know, he's wonderful. Yeah.
That was also my pick. But since you picked him, I'll go with I'll give Benny the honors. Kevin J. O'Connor is Benny. I didn't think Benny really counted because I thought he was too much of the main cast.
Yeah.
So I was like, I can't really pick Benny. But now since you brought it up, I'm picking Benny. I'm going Benny. Benny's like I said earlier, like it is one of my all-time favorite like on-screen performances. I love it.
Yeah.
I want to see the Benny movie. Like, I want to hang out with Benny.
Yeah.
I want to see him go on his misadventures and be like the lackey of somebody.
There's just too many like exchanges between him and Rick O'Connell where it's like, you're going to get yours, Benny. It's like, oh, like I haven't heard that before.
Yeah. That's, it's just the movie has such a great playful quality to it.
Yeah.
Trembling says, I'm a big fan of Tommy guns. They look and sound cool. I agree. Yeah. Trembling says, my secret MVP is the drunken old British pilot. Yeah, that's the one.
That's
Jeremy's. Just Jeremy's. Yeah, that guy, he rules.
He was ready to die.
He gave a little boost at the end of the movie. Like you needed like another little element. Like what's the little twist we could add here? What's another little fun thing we could do before we kind of are whisked away into a CGI race? Mm-hmm. Not CGI, but like mostly not CGI. Actually, when I was watching it, and I was watching when they were racing back to the pyramid, I was like, "Wow, this is covered very well." Like it just shot very well, and I don't know why I was appreciating it so much because it so feels like it should be so standard, but maybe just things have gotten that bad. Maybe things are just so hyper stylized, like into the dirt, that I'm just like craving like just simple, competent cinematography in one of these big movies.
Yeah.
That could be very true.
It's a damn shame because they're at this time they're still filming in these locations and doing these things even as they throw CGI compartments on top of the whole film and whatnot, but yeah, I don't know what to make of what they're doing today. That was what was so off-putting about Furiosa, this newest film that's out right now. Too much green screen, too much like I'm not actually there. I don't feel like I'm on this location. I don't feel like I'm in this wasteland.
Yeah.
And there's a disconnect.
It just kind of pulls you out. It's kind of like what I mean about the attention to detail in The Mummy. Yeah. Like it feels all like it all works together really well. And there's very rarely do I ever feel like kind of pulled out of the experience. And maybe that's just me, but I'm going to harp on it. I think the CGI looks good.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it, okay? I think it looks good. I think it looks better now than it did in 1999. I love its simplicity, okay?
I'm going to be one of those nerds. My favorite effect is the Imhotep neck and cheek effect, where the Sierra beetle is just like crawling through his cheek.
Yeah.
And he just like chews on it. Oh, I'm good. Yeah. And then
nice
moves on.
nice little moments like that too. Nice
so
little
good.
moments like that they stop to do that. They literally stop the movie so you can have that moment. It's so smart. It's really, really smart stuff. Trummick says it's goofy, but I've always loved how much fun Ardith Bay was having tied to the wing of that plane. Oh, yeah. It's a wild desert man, dude. Or actually, originally that character was supposed to die. He was supposed to die at the end of the movie. Farad, is that his name? The character's name? Odette Fair.
Ardith Bay.
Yeah, he was supposed to die at the end of the movie, but I guess Stephen Sommers was like, I just like him so much, I can't see him dying.
We got to bring him back for the sequel.
Well, I don't know if you knew at that time. Let's not slander this man. Poor Stephen Sommers.
Yeah.
What is he doing now? What's he doing now? Where he's got producer credit. What's the director's credits? The last director's credit is 2013's Odd Thomas. R.E.P.
Oh, snap.
Anton
Odd
Yelkin.
Thomas. Okay.
He's got one in development called When Worlds Collide.
All right.
No actors attached. Nothing shaken with it. Some science fiction film. Well, I hope he gets to do it, okay? And I hope it's as good as The Mummy.
This guy's figuring it out.
We got to bring him back. We got to bring him back in the fold. It's enough is enough. I mean, what did he do? G.I. Joe, Rise of the Cobra, you going to hold that against him forever?
Well, he started out with Disney, so he did Huckleberry Finn with a really, really young Elijah Wood.
And then he did Jungle Book.
Jungle Book, yep. Yeah, before he went on this venture of
creature features. Yeah. It was Deep Rising, I think, right?
Deep Rising and then Mummy, yeah. So and if you watch those movies, it's been years since I've seen those films, but I can kind of see a little bit of the blueprints of what he was trying to go for.
Oh, for sure.
Getting to this point in his life, but
I mean, honestly, I was kind of being harsh about G.I. Joe. I can see what he was trying to do with G.I. Joe. I just don't think it's a good movie.
Sure.
I just don't. I think it's just boring. But I could see what he was doing. He's trying to make a literal live action, in a very literal way, version of the cartoon. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it don't. Mostly the problem with that movie, I think, is the cast is kind of awful.
Yeah. Well, don't they kill off Channing Tatum in the second one or something like that? In the first 5 minutes?
They blow him up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they blow him up. I have only seen that movie one time, but I remembered that because it made me laugh so hard. I was laughing. I was just like, oh my God. Channing Tatum's like, get me out of this. Can we kill you? Sure. Kill him and hire The Rock.
Yeah.
We don't need a lead. We just need The Rock. Trebling says his live-action Jungle Book is good in my opinion. I loved it as a kid. It's really more of a Tarzan movie than a Jungle Book movie.
Yeah.
That seems to square with my recollection. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I have not seen it. I was probably 10 the last time I watched that.
We had it on the big white box VHS.
The clamshells?
Yeah, the clamshell. Yeah, and it was one of those where it's just oh yeah, completely unfaithful to the book or even to the original Disney movie. But we loved it. We didn't care.
Yeah, I remember it being, because I remember it being around. That's why I saw it so much when I was a kid. It just, lots of people liked it.
Yeah.
I think but that was a time. It was a simpler time. We had less options. We were kind of okay, well, it's the Disney movie. We like the Disney movie. Yeah, it's not like today when there's 1,000 movies come out every single fucking day. It's so oppressive.
Yeah,
you can't keep up with it. Most of it's just nonsense. Most of it's just noise. It's bad out there, guys. It's getting bad. Okay. You think? I'm sorry, what?
No, I was gonna say like hashtag cancel sharp end of a buck knife. We're not making this movie anymore. We're done.
Yeah, there's too many movies.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It's really adorable that you guys had a dream.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, Stephen Sommers, The Mummy.
Interesting director, and honestly, like Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him.
As our mummy character, essentially Imhotep.
Fucking German guy.
Yeah. German, technically South African actor, but he just loved playing villains in the 90s, and they just kind of like pulled him into whatever. I'm used to him in this.
Good at it. He's good at it. That's what he does. He is in G.I. Joe: Rise of the Cobra. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. And like it speaks to the testament of the friendships I guess that Stephen Sommers had with like a lot of the cast.
Yeah.
But like I remember him from this. I don't know if you remember Zeus and Roxanne.
Yep.
Yeah, he was in that. Not Malcolm in the Middle. Frankie Muniz. What's the movie? Agent
Cody Banks.
Cody Banks. He was the villain in that one too. Yeah.
Hell yeah, he was.
Yeah. The guy just got around. He just like will take any role. Yeah.
This guy's a slut.
Yeah.
This Arnold Vosloo guy. Yeah, he's good in this. I like him. He is. I was actually. I did make a note of this. I was kind of impressed that it never veers into camp.
Yes.
It comes close. It's really riding that line a few times, but it never gets there. The closest it ever comes is his performance. The closest it ever comes to being campy is his performance. Anoksunamu, like it's so like he's so like theatrical.
Come back to me.
It's so theatrical, like that it almost like breaks it, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it comes so close though.
Yeah.
Like actually, all the stuff with the opening, when you're learning about Imhotep's past and stuff, that is almost there. Like that's almost campy.
Yeah,
almost. They ran it in though. But I was kind of impressed by that because oftentimes I go back and watch things like this, and I'm like, oh, that's really a lot more campy than I remember it being. Not here. Here. The Mummy Returns a little more campy, a little more silly. In a bad way. Tremming says he's South African. Imhotep, a.k.a. not as good Darkman. That's true. That's right. He was Darkman in 2 and 3. He's not good in those movies. Really, you really do miss Liam Neeson. Yeah. Trembling also says he's also a second-string bad guy in Hard to Kill. That's right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, this movie also brought me back to those roots where it's just like, it doesn't matter what nationality you are. Just play this character and do it well. And
actually,
be
yeah,
fun,
Yeah.
Like there were in 1999, it was a simpler time. If you can pull it off, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like exactly, because nobody it still kind of honors that that's an Egyptian person,
right?
Because he looks Egyptian. You totally buy it. Mm-hmm. Like no, I didn't. I was never being like that's a South African German guy. Yeah. What the fuck's going on here? Like, no, I was like, yeah, that looks like a guy that would be, some kind of priest in Egyptian times. Sure. I totally bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. You got me, Vosloo. I love you, buddy. Me and you should hang out sometime.
You're the real MVP.
Actually, yeah, I'd like to retract my earlier statements.
Yeah.
Arnold Vosloo is my secret MVP.
Yeah.
And then Rachel Weisz is my not-so-secret cutie pie. Okay?
I got to go with Patricia Velasquez for my secret cutie pie.
Really?
For her 1 minute and like 5 seconds of scenes because, oh no, he massaged the tattoos and now she's going to get killed. But now she's a looker.
She is a looker. She is a looker. I'm not going to deny this, but she's not Rachel Weisz. Rachel Weisz is the whole package. She's the whole package. I could take Rachel home to my mom. My mom would be like, "Oh, this is a very nice girl."
Enjoy.
If I brought this Patricia Velasquez, she'd be like, "Who is that?" She gonna rob us. She's got quite the temper. This one. Sure. I don't. Why are we talking about this? I don't even remember. It's my bad.
Why is she teaching us so much about Egyptology? Like, what's going on?
What's going on, dude?
Yeah.
We got to give it up to John Hannah as Jonathan Carnahan,
Yep.
Evie's brother.
Yep.
Great comedic performance. Great comedic performance. I even love the little bit at the end when they're escaping and he stops to like look at the gold. He's like, "Can't we just?" And they're like, "Jonathan!" Yeah. Like it's almost like the sitcom-y, goofy. Shouldn't work, but it does. I love it.
There's 3 beats of that, and that's what I loved on this rewatch too. Is that like Evie was like so upset, like you just dropped the Book of the Dead in the water, and like no, we gotta go. And then he's like, well, can we just stick around for the gold? Like nope, we gotta go. He's like, Benny, we gotta go. No, we gotta go. Yeah.
Or how he reacts when he's like, well, looks like we're leaving empty-handed once again. Yeah. And then Rick says to Evie, like, I don't think we're leaving empty-handed. And they kiss, and the way he rolls his eyes, he's like, oh my God. It's like, oh my God, get the fuck out of here. But he's so good. He's really great.
Yeah.
And he keeps up with everybody. He fits into the group so well. I mean, everybody, even the alternate adventurer group are also interesting. Like I could see those guys on their own adventures.
Yeah.
Because they're all like wannabe Ricks. But they're not Rick. They're not as noble. No. They don't have the noble nature of Rick. But I thought those guys they fill out the world really well. They're good fodder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, the American Gunslingers, they're all great in their own right. A couple of them I recognize as character actors I've seen in other things too. It's one of those things where like, oh yeah, I've seen you. You showed up in that movie, but it was so brief and things.
Or a bit part on a show or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is always fun. I love when like a director gives like an actor like that an opportunity to just be like crazy and ham-fisted. Yeah, and I'm trying to remember like the other few that we haven't really mentioned, like Eric Avari, who was like the Dr. Terrence Bay character who ran the library.
Runs the library,
Yeah, and like reveals kind of like last minute, like, oh yeah, we have this like secret inventory of like people that will never let Imhotep like come out.
Yeah, he's part of a secret society.
Yeah.
That guy was all over the place back in the day.
He was,
yeah. He was in Stargate. That's where I remember him from.
Yeah.
Him or Jonathan Hyde, Dr. Alan Chambers.
Yep.
Jonathan Hyde, who's a great character actor. A guy that's in so many movies of my youth.
Yes.
He played a lot of bad guys too, like Jumanji.
Jumanji's the famous one. I remember. Yeah.
Titanic.
Yep.
He's in Titanic.
Yeah.
Anaconda. Oh my God! I haven't seen Anaconda in forever. Got to remedy that.
Dude, I watched Anaconda in a bar like a year and a half ago.
Was it a good time?
I would say so at the I mean, like I was hanging out with people, but like
were you the only one watching it, Jeremy?
It was just like on in the background, like instead of a sports game or something like that, and like I was in the middle of talking to like 2 people, but then I was like, oh yeah, John Voight's about to get eaten to death right here. This is great,
dude. That's like one of the best John Voight performances ever.
Yeah,
you come over here, I kill you, big snake. Big snake, man. Trellick says the secret society that's a lot like the Grail Guardian Society in the Last Crusade. Yes, of course. It's gotta hit that beat. Yep. It has to be there. And if it wasn't there, you'd be like, why isn't it there? Trellick also says both guys that are good guys, but our hero kills several because they refuse to just warn people before trying to kill them. Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do. It was, it's in the moment. Who are we to judge? You ever been in that kind of situation? Come on now. What do you think it would have been like if Leonardo DiCaprio? Do you think it would have worked?
Rick O'Connell?
Yeah. So this would have been like right after Titanic. I think he would read too young, too boyish.
Yeah, it's just a little too much. Yeah.
Like Brendan Fraser has like a boyish quality, but he looks like a man. Like he looks like he's a big dude. Like he's 6'2" or 3", and he's like 220 pounds of muscle. He's like a big fucking guy.
Well, he got like specifically ripped for George of the Jungle.
Yeah,
as a movie that was not requiring that, but he did it anyway, and
caused
so he
some permanent damage.
Yeah, so he was able to cut a little bit and then do something that was a little bit more off-brand for what he had been doing prior. Yeah, I can't see anybody else in that role, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can see like Leonardo DiCaprio if he was like at the age he was when he made The Aviator. Like he I just think at that time he would have looked like a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
You know, in that suit, it would have looked kind of silly. Like he just doesn't read enough as like a man. Maybe he still doesn't. I don't know. You be the judge out there, audience.
I mean, I guess when you come to what's the name? The film he did with Tom Hardy,
The Revenant.
The Revenant. I mean, by that point, like now he's older, I guess, but it's a little too late, I guess.
Oh, it's too late now.
Yeah.
Do you think they should remake it with him? That's what I think.
I don't know.
Shot for shot, Stephen Sommers coming back. Shot for shot, same movie, except this with Leonardo DiCaprio. Actually, you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna do they're gonna pull a Tig Notaro. They're just gonna get Leo to shoot everything on a green screen, and then they're gonna hire Zack Snyder to come in and put Leo into the movie, like he did with Chris D'Elia and Tig Notaro.
Yeah,
in Army of the Dead. That's why we call it a Tig Notaro. Better watch out. Tig, you think you shot that movie? You think it's locked? You watch out. You get Tig Notaro's on just a phone call away, man. I'll replace you. That's what I would do if I had power. That's what I would do. That's how I would threaten. That's how I'd bully actors. I'd be like, I'll call her right now. She'll come in. We'll shoot it in 3 days.
Yeah.
Completely replace you. Tig Notaro. Sorry.
I've got a couple other quick notes. The game Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception. Mm-hmm. I know when that game came out, and it was a big deal for me too, but everyone was saying like, "Oh, Jeremy, isn't this such a great homage to Lawrence of Arabia and all those like sand dune games?" I'm like, no, I'm only thinking of The Mummy when I'm playing this game. Yeah, when all those spiders are crawling across like the scarab beetles, it's like it's just the same exact thing. I would be
give me the willies. They still give me the willies.
Hell pressed, yeah, like that. They did not take that from the movie when it came out at the time. The scarab beetles are like one of my favorite touches of the movie and the game.
The movie it still gives me the creeps. Like I have a visceral reaction when I see it under people's skin. Like it's like no, that's no.
Not happening. But also, I mean, like, this was like one of Jerry Goldsmith's last soundtracks before he died.
His actual last one is another Brendan Fraser movie. Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Hey, classic.
But this is a killer score, though. I love it. It's got that traditional Hollywood sweeping kind of Lawrence of Arabia-esque score, and it just works perfectly. It's romantic, it's exciting. The love theme, Jeremy. I mean, come on. Who doesn't get wrapped up in that moment? Let's see if we can get a little taste of it. Jerry Goldsmith.
He's
Mummy.
Just like super good with those horns and strings. And it takes a few seconds to recognize that it's him, but like he absolutely just nails a tone.
He does
for a movie that he's pitched for. Yeah. And apparently he did not like this movie like in full, but he still gave it like a solid score. Yeah.
Did he really he came out and shit on the movie?
He didn't shit on it, but he was saying like that was not the movie I thought we were we were making, basically.
Oh, he probably thought they were making something more like The Mummy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can you feel the magic? There it is.
The beat's so good. Yeah.
Oh, dude, I love this. Oh. Did Jerry Goldsmith also do the score for the Shadow?
Oh, that's the thing I'll look up.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah.
Music department composer.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Well, this has been like a common theme, I think, with like some of our reviews, is that like Jerry Goldsmith is like the backup, and like when you can recognize those horns, it's like, oh yeah, that's him.
Those are those Goldsmith horns.
Yeah.
Those golden goldsmiths.
So good.
Yeah, it is. And I love that it feels of a piece.
Right.
Like it just feels like, like it all belongs together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love the horns, like the strings here, like yeah, dude. This is like why I love the score for The Shadow so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of this kind of energy to it. Austin says Jeremy Goldsmith. Roasted. There we go. Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Some of them are only based on like the clamps, so like, oh, the camel's going boom, 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 or something. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah.
Man. Let's do it a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is me. This is my love theme for Evie.
Yeah.
This is me having playful rat-a-tat-tat. A lot of sexual energy.
Yep.
She likes the Dewey Decimal System. I don't. It gets crazy. It gets wild.
Yeah.
So I guess to close this out, do you want to briefly kind of talk about its sequels?
Sure.
So The Mummy Returns. I haven't watched it in a while. I watched a little bit of it leading up to this. I fell asleep, so I didn't end up getting to finish it. But it is kind of immediately a lesser movie. It does feel kind of like a mess. And it's just kind of stuffed to the gills with things that just don't work. That just aren't that interesting. I think the family dynamic, while interesting and I kind of don't mind on paper. I think that it's a kind of a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it worked very well in the movie. And also Evie's like personal connection to the plot, I've never liked. I kind of just wish they were just like an adventurer family.
Yeah.
And not like, oh, she has some ancient connection because of her mother.
Well, even at the time when it came out, I never envisioned that like maybe down the line they might have had like a family to build, but I'd never envisioned like Rick and Connell and Evie to like have a kid like so soon.
Yeah,
I guess
save that for the third movie.
Yeah, but it was done this way. We're like, oh, we got to throw a kid in there because we got to attract more of an audience, I guess. The same way they kind of did with Star Wars or something like else like that. But,
sure. Yeah.
In fact, there's a few parallels there with Star Wars and also even Lord of the Rings, even though they didn't have the full visualization of what Lord of the Rings was doing at the time with their technology. But yeah, like this whole like, oh, we're gonna have the epic battle come up at the end, and we're gonna shoot in this frame rate, and we're gonna be a little bit more crazy, and we're not gonna be completely filmic with this one.
Yeah, because this one has all the dumb speed ramping, like you had mentioned earlier. When
Yeah,
like, Evie and Inaxunamun
Yeah.
are fighting in the flashbacks because it's so retarded.
It's not
I'm
good.
cringing just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Trembling says the stupid, needless conflict between Rick and the grown-up son in the third one was so annoying, and Maria Bello is no Rachel Weisz. I agree
Yes.
with both comments.
Yep.
I only saw that actually like 2 years ago. I completely bypassed me when it came out.
First time, or
Yeah, it was the first time I watched it. It was like 2 years ago. I didn't.
Yeah.
I just never occurred to me to watch it. I was like, it's not going to be good. I know it's not good.
they feel really disconnected because it's not even Sommers involved at all anymore, or anybody.
And the recasting of Rachel Weisz, it looks the look is very cheap. Like, it looks like a television show almost, kind of, a lot of the times, like the sets.
Yeah.
It's got that weird, it's got that gross aesthetic, like that gross, like, what was it, like 2012 or something it came out?
Mm-hmm.
It just looks like shit. I remember watching it, I was watching it with my brother, and we were just like, kind of just laughing about it, like kind of watching it and enjoying it on a meta level. Like, what are they doing? What is this? And I was like, why did Maria Bello do this? Like, Maria Bello makes some of the weirdest decisions as an actress. She's all over the place, dude. She'll be in your Adam Sandler movie. She'll be in the third Mummy movie. She don't care. She'll be in The Cooler.
And also, like, going back to, like, Returns as well, like, it just, it recycles what we've seen with every, like, mainstream sequel. Like, okay, we're just going to do what the first one did really well, but we're going to amplify it to some dimension. Home Alone 2 comes to mind, where it's like, okay, we're going to just add on to the booby traps, and we're going to tack on another 20 minutes and make them just like...
Yeah, that movie is awfully long. Yeah.
That's what you kind of get from it. The Scorpion King stuff is fun. But when you separate it from, like, that movie, like, that's the actual movie you want to actually watch, because everything's a little bit more practical and everything's a little bit more shot like an action movie or a music video, whatever you want to call it, by people that actually know what they're doing and not doing, like, a CGI extravaganza that's a little too much in your face. Like, because The Mummy works so well on its own without any sequel or any sort of, like, send-off to those characters. Like, yeah, we finished it. We're there, you know?
Like, I understand why they wanted to make another one, but...
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's just... And it was also because it's just like, no, like, we need to pump this out as quickly as possible. You know, there's a 2-year turnaround on a movie, like, of that technical scale. It seems like it's just, you're just dooming it. It hasn't been, like, percolating. It hasn't been loved. You know, it hasn't been shepherded, really.
Yeah.
Now it's like it's just a product.
Right.
And I would say it feels like immediately the movie feels a little charmless. Just something about it, like, immediately it just feels different. I used to like it when I was a kid, though. I will say that I did like it when I was a kid, because it was just more. You know, it was just more. Oh, it's more. It's more of it.
Well, I was gonna say I remember going into, like, a haunted house, Mummy Returns campaign, little, like, walkthrough with my cousin in Australia at the time, because it was doing really well there, and I didn't find any of it scary, and I was a little kid, but my older cousin was, like, terrified of everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was the protector. Yeah.
Trummick says that fight flashback had Rachel Weisz looking so damn good, though, in that outfit. Listen, no lies detected. No lies detected. She's, again, my not so secret cutie pie. Okay. You guys can have Patricia, whatever her name is. Okay, I don't need her. What about the Scorpion King? So were you into the Scorpion King when it came out? Or actually, well, you would have been too young. Whenever you ended up getting involved in the Mummy stuff.
Oh, the movie itself of his is great. My mom rented it for me and a couple of friends who were sleeping over, and we watched it like from Blockbuster. Yeah, we had pizza that night. We were just chilling and just like
Good times, dude. You didn't know how good you had it so good, dude.
Oh yeah, we enjoyed it, and even to this day, like I've had the VHS of the movie,
with that great cover.
yeah. No, I mean I've never like disliked it. I guess like there's things that are wrong with it, or
Dude, I can't. I'll be real. I can't even really remember it. I saw it when it came out, and I kind of never really thought about it again. I think I was just a little too old. I mean, I was like 16 when it came out.
Sure.
This would have been. I would have had the wherewithal to be like, well, that's some corny shit. Like that's too much for me. I would have been too cool for it, probably.
Yeah.
I would have been like a real fucking pretentious film nerd. I'm like, I'm not gonna go see the fucking Scorpion King. You can't make me. I'm gonna go see Thumbsucker.
The Rock, an actor? No way. Can't be. It can't be.
I reject this nonsense. Yeah, Chuck Russell. That's right. Chuck Russell directed this thing, man. Good old Chuck Russell. What did he do? He's the guy who makes shit movies. Well, not totally shit. Eraser. Eraser's like, it's kind of a good bad action movie. The Mask. It's got its charms. Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Well, one of the better ones.
One of the better ones.
Maybe the best, actually, really, when you really start to think about it. I Am Wrath. Oh, wow. Nice. How did his career get stalled out, Was Eraser not good enough for you people? Was the Scorpion King not good enough for you fucking people?
What's the upcoming one he's got there?
Let's see here. Witchboard. Oh, Witchboard.
Oh,
he's doing the remake of Witchboard.
Okay.
Wow. And it's shooting. A reimagining of the 1986 horror classic. Well, that's going to be interesting. I don't know. With Chuck Russell, you don't know what you're going to get, Sometimes you get Dream Warriors, sometimes you get fucking Scorpion King.
I'll add it to my 2024 watch list. And if people think I'm weird, they're probably right.
It's in post. It's in post, everybody. It's not too far away. I'm going to say we're probably going to get a Halloween release around October.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Trembling says, the Scorpion King now just makes me think of the insult that someone has Scorpion King soundtrack energy. Yeah. I really can't really remember it. I can't remember the plot. And even when I'm thinking about it, I'm also mixing it with that movie Hercules that he was in.
They're kind of similar in a weird way. And I remember, the movie that you're talking about. Both movies, by the way, I would say push the PG-13 boundary a little bit, where it's just like, we're just going to like cut people's heads off and throw that in the movie. Have fun with that. Grotesque gore.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, too, that Hercules movie,
Brett Ratner
with Brett Ratner directing, it was just that whole trailer was just the first 2 minutes of the movie, and then the rest of the movie is the film that you didn't expect to see. Like he's like fighting a tiger or something, and like
because they're supposed to like doing like the labors, I think, of Hercules. I can't remember. I don't. I know I've seen it. I think maybe I haven't watched. Maybe I just haven't seen it. It's all just in there somewhere. I just see The Rock and muscles, and he's got no shirt on, and he's swinging a sword.
Yeah, something on his head. Yeah,
that could be any of these things, not a big fan.
No.
Although wasn't the Scorpion I think I remember it being a successful movie though. I was always thought it was weird that they never made like I know they made direct-to-video sequels, but I always thought it was weird that The Rock never came back and did another one. Because I thought they were talking about it for a long time. And also, Austin says Eraser is good.
I think they got like Lou Ferrigno for one of the roles at one point. I can't remember which sequel it was. And I've interacted with one of the villains from like Scorpion King 3 as an actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, I just
Did you
like
shoot his wedding?
No, I just asked him like do you want to be in this thing? He's like it's not on my schedule. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Figured I'd just ask. Yeah. Oh, he says Austin says I was asking if it's good. Oh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like action movies, like that are a little generic, but it's got Arnold, it's got James Caan. They actually have a fist fight at the end on a shipping container that's swaying over a harbor. It's amazing. You're gonna love it.
Oh, wait, I know this film he's talking about. Yeah,
it's Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing Chuck Russell film.
Yeah, James Caan is unrealistically overbearing as a villain in that fight sequence.
He kicks his ass. He kicks Arnold's ass.
Yeah.
It's only by the grace of God through trickery does Arnold even best him.
Yeah.
Austin says, I liked 2001 Planet of the Apes. He's very proud of this. You know what? I actually watched that like a year ago, and I wouldn't say it's good, but there's a lot to appreciate about that movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously the costumes, kind of incredible. The actors commit to the performances, for better and worse. Paul Giamatti kind of rules in that movie.
It's worthy for goes to the movies at some point. Yeah.
Oh, dude, it totally is, actually. Yeah. It's a wacky ass movie. I mean, when I was a kid and I saw that, dude, I came out of the theater, we all liked it. Everybody liked it. And we couldn't wait for the sequel. Couldn't wait. We're like, oh, dude, now they're on it's like our planet, but with monkeys.
It's happening.
This is incredible. Yeah. Marky Mark kind of fucking beat a bitch down. Trembling says the biggest letdown with that Conan the Barbarian remake is that it was basically the Scorpion King, but with his Hawaiian cousin. Yes, it kind of was. Yeah, that movie's fucking sucked. It's hard to watch. Even just for fun, even just to dislike it, it's hard to watch. Marcus Nispel directed it. He also directed the remake of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
But the way he directed it was like a grimdark music video, and there are cuts every 2 seconds. It gives you like a fucking headache. That's all I'm saying. Okay. I don't know why I got so aggressive. Like, this fucking movie, dude. I was just so bummed because I wanted new Conan movies so bad.
Right.
I was one of the 10 people that saw that in the theater, dude. 3D glasses and everything. And I was so crestfallen as I was watching it, and also understanding that it was bombing and that there was going to be no more Conan. Because I've been pining for a King Conan movie for my entire adult life. Every time Arnold used to give us updates. So we were close a few times.
It's going to happen.
There's even mock posters made up at some sort of European trade show.
Yeah.
When they were looking for funding. But there was some sort of the rights dispute. There's the author's name. His estate, his family it's very touchy with the rights to Conan, apparently. I'm just saying.
Looking up now. Yeah.
Conan the Barbarians. What's your take on Conan, dude? You like Conan?
Oh, it should be required viewing at every film school, at every
John Milius's Conan the Barbarian. That's one of my favorites, though. Like,
yeah,
but for me, it's beyond everything because it's so like ingrained in my DNA.
sure. But it's so integral to what's going on today culturally that I think people need to just kind of like sit back and like watch what the fuck is going on, you know? And just,
Is this what you want? You want us to fall into this type of society, this type of
Yeah.
tribal society, where a
Yeah.
Conan has to rise and kill the Snake Man? Is
yeah,
that what you want? God damn it, Obama.
yeah.
Thanks
right.
a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Obama. Yeah.
Thanks, fucker.
No, but I love especially the first Conan. I really do enjoy and love.
Robert E. Howard.
Yeah,
I just remembered it. That's the writer of Conan. His estate. They're very finicky with the rights. Tremlick says a good Conan movie should be the easiest thing to make. Just take any of the short stories and do that. I agree, dude. I don't understand what the problem is. Or, dude, Conan would make for a great like television show. That's
Yeah.
what it would be. It would make for a great television serial. Like, it would be really good. I don't know what these streamers are doing, just leaving Conan lying to waste. Somebody write a check. I don't know. Okay. All right, everybody. I think we're ready to head into some news. You want to check out a couple news stories, Jeremy?
let's do it.
Let's
Sweet
do it.
heaven. All right.
It's fucking going down. Now, oh my God, Jeremy tried. You tried, George. You tried. Furiosa box office puts brakes on George Miller's next Mad Max movie. So they have a pre-production on The Wastelands has been halted as Warner Brothers panics. The lowest box office receipts for a Memorial Day weekend in 25 years, guys. Shame to everybody. Some people are saying it's because of the female protagonists. Some people are saying because nobody gives a fuck about Furiosa. Some people are saying people just don't really go to the movies anymore. What's your hot take, buddy?
I think that's actually the larger part is that most people won't go to the movies anymore. Actually,
Yeah.
there's this rising stride of people that just they don't want the theater experience. They want to see things on a huge, picturesque screen. They want to just watch everything in the comfort of their own homes, which to some extent I get, but movies are meant to be explored through these formats, and if they're not met, it's a downside for.
Well, I think but the studios and what they've been doing since basically the pandemic is that they have trained people to not think going to the movies is important, and it's no longer like a cultural touchstone.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we're kind of losing a lot of our connectivity as a people by becoming more insulated in this way. But
Right.
this is how. But they're kind of training us to do that. I would even say most recently an example would be the movie The Fall Guy. So The Fall Guy bombs, underperforms. They put it on VOD within 2 weeks. Like, what signal do you think you're sending to people? You're just telling them that, like, well, don't worry about it. It'll be here before you know it. You're not going to have to wait like 3 months. Which right now, like, I think the theatrical window is like 45 days. It's not even 2 months anymore. A lot of times, like a lot of Warner Brothers stuff, within 45 days, it's on like Max.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Why would anybody go to the fucking movie theaters? You know how expensive it is? What a fucking hassle it is? How exhibition is in the fucking dirt? I mean, half the time you go to movies, it's like fucking out of focus or something. The seats don't recline. Everything's fucking in disrepair.
The projectionist doesn't know what he's doing half the time, or
it's fucking too dim or whatever. Like all the time, constantly. Why would anybody want to invest like their time, their money, their energy into doing that if that's what it is, you know? And so it's kind of a thing that they've done to themselves.
Yeah.
And this is just another example of that. I mean, I think them thinking that this was going to be some big blockbuster, it was retarded in the first place. This is because they listened to like Twitter too much. Like Mad Max Fury Road was like a modest success. Mad Max in general is a niche thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a mass consumption thing that everybody loves Mad Max. That's not true.
No.
It's very niche. So now you're putting out a niche side character in an already niche universe, and you're like, oh, this is going to do fucking gangbusters, dude. It's got Chris Hemsworth in it. It's got Anya Taylor-Joy.
It's going to be great.
Austin says, I'll be in Lethal Weapon 5. Put me in, coach.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you got to be Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's going to be awkward, but you got to be Murtaugh. But yeah, I think that's, that is the real story here. And I think this is just another reminder that of how out of touch studios are, first of all. And second of all, that they've done it to themselves by the way that they treat their properties, the way that they treat their movies. Like if you're just going to make it readily available to people that through like maybe even subscription services they already have, or just on VOD, like why the fuck? Like if I could stay home and spend $20 to watch something that I'm probably not going to like versus going to a theater, paying for gas, paying for popcorn, paying for 2 movie tickets, spending like upwards of like $60. Like why would I do that?
Well, that's the problem with a lot of these reporters, especially too. Like they're not in touch with the current culture online. Like if they are, they're trying to only appease to like the things that sound nice. Like, oh, you want to be ultra feminist, you want to be ultra inclusive. Oh, you want to be this and that. All right, we'll play up what this film can do, and it just doesn't do well because people are not really responding to that today. There is a shift today that I think that is happening, and people are kind of tired of it. I don't know what to define that as, but it's.
What do you mean tired of like the feeling of being pandered to?
Mostly so, yeah.
Like audiences, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's kind of like, I haven't seen Furiosa, so I have no idea how it handles those things with the character. But I can understand on its face, people kind of are rolling their eyes at this point because it's so overt. It's so much. It's everything now.
Yeah.
Like now it's kind of getting a little silly where even like Mad Max can't be in a Mad Max movie. You're like, why? Why would we do this? Why are we doing this?
They're kind of getting sick of it at this point,
I kind of think so. I mean, I am. I'm like exhausted by it. I have zero interest in engaging with most of the stuff that comes out. It's just I'm not even curious anymore. There was a time where I would be like morbidly curious, so I'd watch a lot of shit that I knew I wasn't gonna enjoy. But now I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm getting older. I'm just that much closer to death, so I'm just like, you know what? Time is precious.
Yeah.
I don't need to be watching all of this bullshit. Have some self-respect, Shaun.
On to the next. Let's get back to it.
All right. The next story we're going to briefly touch on is here. Ryan Johnson is threatening us with knives once again. Knives Out 3 is underway. It's in the casting phase right now. And he's got another rogues gallery for us, Jeremy Renner, Mila Kunis, Kerry Washington, Glenn Close. Oh my God, Daniel Craig. Are you a huge fan? Do you love the Knives Out movies, Jeremy?
weirdly enough, like I didn't mind the first one, but I thought it was a little too like of Ryan
Twee?
Johnson's like past work. Like it was like yeah, it was just like a little too much. Like I got it like early on, and it seems like they're trying to like overplay these as these new. What have we described them as?
What?
Yeah, these
Agatha Christie
Agatha
style murder
Christie,
mysteries.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
which what's his name is kind of competing with a little bit.
Oh,
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, the Kenneth Branagh ones.
Yeah.
Not Benoit Blanc. That's this dude. Fucking, you know who we're talking about? The guy with the mustache.
Yeah, Murder on the Orient Express and things like that.
Yeah, the Spook House, Death on the Nile.
Yeah.
No, they are. I mean, that's, they're very much in the same vein, and in the sense they, because they kind of feel like TV movies. It's kind of the Columbo effect, I suppose. I mean, Knives Out, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, whatever. But every subsequent viewing, I began to like hate it.
Yeah.
Because it's so like smug and so fucking pleased with itself that I kind of like can't stand it. And it's like also really dumb to boot. And he can't help himself but to inject his like gay politics into it. Austin says Hercule Poirot. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, coming in from the top. But yeah, no. So I really, really like. I started to like resent it, and for some, I don't know why. I'll be honest. It's like kind of completely irrational, but I think I'm correct. And then the second one was just bad. It was just a bad fucking movie, a shit mystery. Again, he can't help himself. All of the social commentary bullshit.
Yeah.
It was so cringe-induced. I was like cringing the whole fucking time. I watched it like twice too to make sure it wasn't just me. I was like, am I just being an asshole? Like, there's no way that movie was that bad. And I had the opportunity to watch it again because my wife wanted to watch it, so I watched it with her, and I was like, no, it is that fucking bad. It's just like a bad fucking movie.
It's like, I'm here to subvert your expectations, Sean. Don't you know?
Yeah. And that's it, though. Yeah. He does it every time. And I was a fan, dude. I was a fan. I liked Brick. Okay.
Yeah.
I liked Looper. Thought
Looper
was pretty good.
Yeah.
Thought it was pretty good. I was even excited when it was announced that he was going to do episode 8
of Star Wars. Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. That's an interesting choice. I was like, oh, maybe he'll do something cool. He'll do something interesting. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I out of step there. And then he turned into just like the most insufferable fucking prick.
Yeah.
Oh. He's the kind of guy that Devin Faraci hangs out with. I don't know if anybody out there will understand that reference, but for those that do, you're welcome. So this is the last one. I'm curious. I want to hear Jeremy's hot takes on this, okay? Mike Flanagan, set to direct radical new take on The Exorcist for Blumhouse and Morgan Creek. Buddy, how you feeling? Oh. So the other movie, the David Gordon Green one, done. Dead continuity. It's over, bro. That little white girl, she's going to burn in hell forever now. Ain't nobody coming to save her. So how do you feel about this?
Yeah, fuck this. This is stupid. Like he's gonna be like, oh yeah, that dumb little white girl. Like, oh, she's gonna come back and say like, hey, bring me back to my soul. Help me out. I'm so done with Mike Flanagan or any of these directors jumping on these properties. Leave them alone.
How much do you want to bet that his wife is in it and that she's some sort of lesbian character?
Why not? Yeah, of course.
Well, it's because she's been a lesbian in everything he's done with her.
Yeah.
He puts her in things and it's like, you're a lesbian. Even in that movie, Hush. You see the movie he made, Hush?
Yep.
That she's in? She's like the deaf woman.
She's
the
deaf,
burglar.
and she's got to fight her way through the.
Yeah, she was lesbian in that too. Bet you didn't know that. But anyways, yeah, it says Blumhouse has made official that which is already out there. Dr. Sleep filmmaker Mike Flanagan is writing, directing, producing a radical new take on The Exorcist in a new film with the genre producer and Morgan Creek. This all comes in the wake of the last movie, The Exorcist Believer, flailing at the box office with $65.6 million, blah, 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 blah. This week after Peacock, Blumhouse bought the rights from Morgan Creek back in July for $400 million. David Gordon Green, the director of that movie, withdrew from the next installment. The next movie here about demon-possessed people and the Jesuit priests that wrangle them is billed as an all-new story set in the Exorcist universe and is not a sequel to the 2023's Exorcist Believer, per press release. Wow. It's over, bro.
This man needs to like focus less on like growing his career and more on growing his hair. Yeah, first and foremost.
Oh, good one, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Good one, brother. No, I mean, listen. Let's be real here. Why do we not like Mike Flanagan? We need a refresher. Why do we not like Mike Flanagan? It's because he's a pussy. I don't.
No,
he's a punk bitch.
I'm not going that far. It's just like he's hijacking everybody else's material that they can probably do themselves in some way. You know, like he's like just I can speak to the modest individual, the person that's going through a rough time, and I'm gonna make that movie, and I'm gonna do it well, and Netflix will like it, and I'm gonna shoot it in this specific way. Yeah. He's been doing this for a good.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
You think he's been? I don't. Okay. Yeah, but what is it that you don't like that he has like a stock style or something?
I'm just like I'm more just kind of annoyed with like
Is it because he's white?
Yeah, that's basically.
Fuck this potato.
Yeah. No, I mean like his films don't bring anything of intrigue other than like, okay, are you feeling this level of
You think he's like emotionally manipulative?
A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what his
Yeah.
movies kind of are. I suppose.
Yeah.
I think it's the one that it stands out the most in is Doctor Sleep because it's just an awkward production. It's just a weird movie, and and some of that's not all his fault either.
Sure.
Because he was trying to basically do a sequel to both the book and the movie.
Yeah.
And trying to please Stephen King, and and have to be a sequel to Kubrick's thing. So
yeah.
So it's a weird thing altogether. But I always thought I think his mini series that he's done, like those are kind of like I've liked some of those.
Yeah.
Like I liked the first one, The Haunting of Hill House, and then I thought Black Mass was like okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just he just like loves to rip off Stephen King, but.
No, yeah. My thing is I've liked his earlier stuff. He's starting to like more and more negate the horror of what made his original films or short films like effective.
Sure.
Like now he's kind of like found his wagon where
he's the trauma guy.
Yeah, pretty much. And
it's all about buried trauma.
Yeah, and it's not effective anymore because everybody's doing that.
Well, sure. I mean, I guess because he kind of honed it in a way, like especially with those the Haunting on Hill House and the Haunting of Bly Manor.
Yeah.
I mean, like he really was able to effectively hone in on that kind of stuff, and which in things that are very emotionally earnest in a way that is borderlines on too much. But it feels like effective in some ways. I think it works well as like soap opera drama, But I always thought like, and I think it feels more appropriate in the miniseries because it gets to be more like a novel and drawn out. But any of his movies I've seen, like he doesn't do the movies very well. Like he's just not like attuned as a director to be able to tell a story in like 2 hours.
No.
At least not that I've seen. I mean, I think maybe his most successful one would be like Hush, because it's such a simple concept.
I was gonna say Hush or the Mirror movie he did a couple years before that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that one was pretty good.
That one wasn't bad.
Yeah,
I mean, and even the Gerald's Game,
yeah,
that he did for Netflix. I mean, it's okay. Like that's not bad. I mean, I like Carla Gugino.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like that was okay.
But it's just the whole like I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, it's just like this really annoying like I don't know, like yeah, you've got like a parasite just like hanging on the end of your movie the whole time that's just like bogging down the pacing of your movie. Yeah.
You just think he's like disingenuous?
For a lot of it, yeah.
Do you think this cornball fuck is kind of really a creep?
Possibly.
Yeah. He gives me creep vibes, dude.
He certainly does.
Him and his fucking wife, honestly. She's like one of these like witch people that you.
Well,
hear
she
about.
wants to play all these lesbian characters. Like
She wants all these dominatrix adjacent lesbians.
Yeah.
They're always wearing gloves too. I don't know what
Yeah.
that's all about. It's probably some sort of signal to their sick, perverted club that they're in.
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, look at his face. This is definitely the kind of a face that, like, I would not be surprised if it showed up on some sort of sex offender list.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, his eyes are what his shows feel like. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
There's a lot of lies in there.
He still has not shaved that whole little spot on top of his head. I'm just like, dude, do something with that, or just like give up.
You just want to bully this guy. You just want to bully him. Like, you dumb bald bitch.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your fucking stupid soap opera shows suck, brother. I think you suck, buddy.
But,
I know, because everybody got into it with him about Dr. Sleep, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all bullied him a little bit, and he blocked
actually,
me.
You guys did actually.
Yeah, and I got blocked, I think, by him at one point or another. And yeah, to be fair, I probably said this before. I was being as like constructively critical as I could with him on his decisions on recasting Jack Nicholson in the movie, and he did not like that. So it's up in the air at this point. And that was back in like 2018, 2017. No, I don't remember.
No, that was like
2019
during the pandemic, probably.
It's before the pandemic, because
It was either right before or
Yeah.
during, or
Yeah.
right at the beginning of maybe. Because then Dr. Sleep came out in 2019, and then into 2020.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think it was when it was making its rounds on video, because nobody saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. I saw it, but not in the theater. I saw it. I actually had it shined to me.
Yeah.
Actually.
Well,
Just
and
so you
Sean, like I think I mentioned this to you before. Like, I was not like trying to actively bully him. I was trying to say like, hey,
listen, you guys were sick. I saw what you did to him.
Could you understand why somebody would put you on your like worst of the year list and have this problem? Like, I was trying
You
to
guys are so fucking autistic.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think he's gonna do if you're like, what? How do you think I'm gonna feel if I'm on the worst of the year list? You're like, yeah. I'd be like, fuck you. Listen, yes.
He was the one upset.
He made mistakes. Okay,
Yeah.
he made
Yeah.
some mistakes. He made some mistakes at the end of Dr. Sleep. If we actually remove the ending of Dr. Sleep is okay.
Yeah.
Actually has a couple very effective moments. Like
sure.
when they're sucking all the loosh out of that kid, the baseball player kid. That shit's fucking scary as fuck. But anyways. But yeah, it's got its problems. If you cut out the goofiness of the ending, and you're like up until that point, you're like, this is okay, this is fine. It's not great. It's like a little too literal of an adaptation, but it's fine. And it's those choices though when he gets to the Overlook, which is a problem that was created because the Overlook Hotel is not supposed to be there. At the end of the book, it's not there. They actually go to the ruins of the Overlook, and they have like a Native American magic fight.
Yeah.
And but since this is actually a sequel to Kubrick's movie, it's still there. And so they end Dr. Sleep with the ending of the book The Shining.
Yeah.
Except now Danny Torrance is Jack Torrance, and he's blowing up the boiler and blows up the hotel. But yeah, the choices in between. I get that part of it. Like I get that he had to do that, and I thought that was kind of a clever thing, and it was kind of a nod to Stephen King because he had to do something. But the stuff they decided to do inside the Overlook Hotel, is where it's awful.
Yeah,
where they take all those weird characters that the Wendy and Danny are seeing as they're running around the Overlook, and they're like they're like props, you know? Like, why would we be seeing like that same guy doing the same thing all these years later? Like, what the fuck is that? It's like we're
gonna recreate these locations and we're gonna make them look exactly.
It's just it's just corny fan service.
Yeah.
And like that's the whole thing. And then like, you know, the woman, the vampire chick, ends up getting defeated by like the Avengers of the Overlook
hotel
the hotel ghosts. You know, you're like, what the fuck? What is this?
Yeah.
That was the like if I don't know, if they just didn't have all that nonsense, it would have been probably okay.
Sure.
But now he's forever tarnished. He's forever tarnished. Jake, the cinematologist, he called his ass out, dude. I was there. I saw it.
That was the most annoying part. Mike Flanagan did not block him, but he blocked the rest of us. It's like all of us who were just chiming in. I was just giving constructive criticism, but he didn't like what any of us had to say. But
criticism.
Jake,
kind of you.
But Jake was in the clear, and Jake went the hardest of all of us.
He did. He did go the hardest.
Yeah.
I think he called him a bald bitch. No,
yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, good old Mike Flanagan. I don't know. So how do you feel about him though? About what they're doing with The Exorcist? Just in general, like, so now we're not continuing on the continuity of the last one. Now we're doing some sort of weird in-universe. Oh, there's some other exorcism thing.
It sorely feels, I guess, like a little bit of a repeat of the 90s where they wanted to see what they can do with this concept, I suppose.
Yeah.
After like Exorcist 3, what more can we do with this sort of storyline and expand it to a different character or a different entity or whatever like that. And I'm not like against that. Like, we've been doing that for a long time. I guess my only thing is just like, why do you have to be so in name? Why can't you just make an original story at this point? Because everybody's tired of. Most people are tired of this. Not everybody, but most people are kind of tired of like this tacking on
the legacy sequels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what the last one was, and it just didn't play. But the ways they made it a legacy sequel were fucking atrocious. Oh my god. But anyways, putting what they did to Ellen Burstyn aside, I hope you're enjoying your money, Ellen.
Your eyes like plucked out by like
hope you enjoy your money. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, I'm now a demonologist. It's like, well, shut up. Oh my god. Anyways. No, I mean, like, I just don't because what's the point? I don't like, there's no way to do like just to continue this on for the sake of continuing it on. Because I guess you're right. They should just take the name The Exorcist and they have to do their own new thing. I guess. But then what's the point of calling it The Exorcist?
Yeah, well, and
if Pazuzu don't show, that's not an Exorcist movie. I reject it.
It ain't no Exorcist faux show.
I reject it.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're gonna do, but I reject it.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's just I'm so. I mean, I was so bummed about A Believer that I don't even care.
Yeah.
I don't even care anymore. I bought it. I own it, and I still haven't rewatched it. That's how traumatized I was by it. That's how traumatized I was.
I'm not going back. I
mean, you're a love. You love it. You put it on your best of the year. You sick bastard.
No. I was very cautious and safe with it, but it did not go anywhere near my best of the year. Far none.
Did it get an honorable mention?
Yeah, probably.
Oh, see? This is why we can't have nice things. It must be rejected. This evil. Oh, yeah, I'm a nun. I was a nun, but then I had an abortion.
Yeah.
Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
I had an abortion, so it was my body, my choice. That's what God wanted. If God didn't want me to have an abortion, I wouldn't have had an abortion. She talks about it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That evil bitch.
Don't worry. All faiths have the same religion. We're all good. We're all together.
It's all together, dude. Like, that is the end of the movie, Jeremy.
Yeah.
You jest, but it literally is. And you're like, oh, really? This makes no goddamn sense, dude. This is for Catholics. Why can't Catholics just have their thing, you know? Why don't you guys get the fuck off? The Exorcist is ours. It's ours. But you know what's there for all of us, Jeremy?
What's that?
Fucking Beetlejuice.
Hey, yeah.
Beetlejuice, everybody. So Jeremy and I are going to check out the latest trailer for Beetlejuice 2, also known as Beetlejuice. How are you feeling about this in general? What are your thoughts? Do you care? Are you disappointed? Are you like, what's the point?
I'm
curious.
So here's the thing. Like, I'm not super close with the original. I didn't grow up with it, but over the years when I did finally see it, I enjoyed it. The only standard that is like keeping me between the release of this film and where my standards are is just, I want to see Michael Keaton be crazy and weird again.
Yeah, sure.
I really don't care about everything else to be well. No, the special effects, especially like in that ghost realm, are fun, and they're kind of playing into that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only other thing that keeps me intrigued. I don't care about Winona Ryder as much.
Yeah,
or the new cast members that they're bringing on board.
No, it's just more about that Keaton magic. And that's
exactly.
kind of my draw to it as well. Is just because I want to watch Michael Keaton have fun. And that's kind of that's what interests me about it. But other than that, I don't really care about it whatsoever. I'm not thinking that it's going to be great. I'm curious, though. I have a curiosity that is sincere. If not a little morbid, but sincere nonetheless. But let's get started. Let's check it out. Dale. Oh my God.
Dale.
It's a preview. Be warned. It's intense.
Oh shit. That's the Beetlejuice song.
Jeffrey Jones is dead.
I can't believe Grandpa's dead.
Fucking Jeffrey Jones got caught child pornography again.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Oh, he did it again.
Fuck. Man, Jeffrey, just be cool for once.
Death is hard. Yeah, sometimes I think life is harder.
I will say this: I am already over Selena Gomez or whoever this is. Is that her name?
This is Winona Ryder.
No,
right
the
here.
other one.
Oh, Jenna Ortega.
Jenna Ortega. Thank
Yep.
you. I'm already done with her. She doesn't need to be in this. Actually, deep fake her out with Selena Gomez. Let's get Selena back in action.
When I was a teenager, a trickster demon terrorized our entire family and tried to force me to marry him.
I don't dislike the look. It's just like the most tangible thing Burton's done since like in a while.
It is tangible, but it's also like this like weird, creepy thinking like I don't want this to look as cheap.
It does look a
what
little
they're-
too stylized, right? Because if you think
Yeah.
as reference, if you go back to the original, it has kind of a natural look to it, especially like the house and the environment and stuff.
Well, he shoots it on traditional film, and
it actually looks really good. It's a good looking movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, I can see that because this looks a little bit more like a set,
Yeah.
if you will. But actually, I don't have a ton of nostalgia for Beetlejuice either. It wasn't something I actually started watching until I was older. I do like it. But I just don't have. It's not like in my DNA. I'm like I loved Beetlejuice as a kid or something. Like it just wasn't really part of my life.
A trickster demon terrorized our entire family and tried to force me to marry him. I believe
From the twisted mind of Timothy Burton. Are you fucking ready, dude?
We got too many twisted minds working right now in the industry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look out, everybody. They're literally hiring psychopaths.
Yeah.
believed he was gone forever until you found this in the attic. Ew. Who's Beetlejuice? Don't ever say that name. Beetlejuice. No, Astrid! I am serious! If you say his name 3 times, he will appear. Beetlejuice.
The juice is loose.
I'm gonna make you so happy.
See, here's the thing. You're never gonna get a scene where, Michael Keaton is like grabbing his balls, going like, "Nice fucking model" or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. I know. Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen,
dude. You just broke my heart. You just broke my heart. This movie is going to be all of the edges are smoothed.
Yeah.
It's a product. Like Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice is a sincere vision of Tim Burton's.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's a complete not even like a rascal. Like he is like
it's an original concept. It's like this weirdo fantasy movie. Like it's provocative. It's different. Like who is that? What audience is that movie intended for? You know what I mean? Like it's it's like it's kind of a little too dark for kids, a little too silly for adults.
And that was the fun of the original. Like if you watch it as a teenager, you get both ends. Like you understand the childlike nature. Like, oh, Beetlejuice is kind of fun and juicy and doing things differently, but also he's kind of like evil and conniving and like he's got something up his sleeve. Now it's like, it's just one or the other, and it's just
because I'm telling you, because you're right. Like they're not going to have that moment where he scratches his balls and says, "Nice fucking model." Like that's not going to be there.
Yeah,
it's not. There won't be anything like that.
No.
Is he going to go to the whorehouse?
No, we can't have whorehouses anymore.
I'm curious. So we go to the OnlyFans mansion, the influencer house.
You might go to that. Yeah.
The juice is loose.
I'm gonna make you so happy.
The living. The dead. Can they?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're in like bullshit bad Tim Burton territory.
Right.
I'm getting concerned. This concerns me.
Eva
What is
Green's gonna have a
this?
cameo and being like, "I'm gonna be the gothic princess that's gonna help you solve your problems or
Well, is
whatever."
this Monica Bellucci, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. But
Monica
you
Bellucci.
know,
No, this is going to be some like love interest.
yeah,
Oh no, this is a character. This is a featured player here.
yeah.
She's going to be some undead love interest, I guess. I'm going to assume.
From the Stitches,
They're going to have
yeah.
to get Beetlejuice together with her to get Winona Ryder out of the marriage, maybe. Something stupid like that. You know it's going to be like that.
Oh, you're thinking like they're gonna do like a remarriage between her and Beetlejuice, and they gotta like tear it apart once more for the sequel.
They got to what they got to do is they got to trick Beetlejuice into marrying her instead.
Okay,
That's my guess.
right.
That's what I'm guessing.
The dead. Can they coexist? That's what we're here to find out.
They're also trying to really make Winona Ryder look like Elvira in this film. Like, I don't know if you're picking up on that, but
I
yeah.
mean, it is kind of, it's the haircut from the original movie
yeah,
a little bit, but yeah, I can see what you mean there a little bit. Good little Elvira vibes. This looks like a cartoon.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which it did become in the 90s.
It
you know,
did. I watched it as a kid occasionally. But like, I don't know. There's something about this. It looks like a costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This looks like the Beetlejuice costume.
It looks
very
like
disturbing. Very disturbing stuff.
yeah. Looks like they're like, oh, I'm on set for the day. Okay, put
They
this
look
on
like
me.
fucking wax mannequins at Madame Tussauds.
Yes.
These are animatronics that you're gonna go to, at some sort of Disney haunted mansion.
Yeah.
Find out.
Oh. I'm sorry. That airplane, that looked terrible.
It's
Terrible.
It must look terrible intentionally, right?
I hope so.
Is this some sort of reenactment? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Listen, it's tough to get good work done in the underworld.
it is.
These Koreans, they do what they can. They do what they can.
Yeah.
They get mostly North Koreans, and they're just malnourished and undereducated. So they don't get the good Koreans to do the animations.
That's true. That's true. I shouldn't judge. I should back off.
Exactly. Who the fuck? Who goddamn do you think you are, man? Oh, look at this Justin Theroux. He got in there. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Winona Ryder's in this movie?
That's what we're here to find out.
Looks like there is so much going on in this movie.
Yeah.
Too much. Where's Keaton? There he is. Look at him. He's judging us. He's judging us. He says, how can you not like this?
He's like, I just made $1.5 million right now. Yeah.
He's like, I was supposed to be in 10 Batman movies this year. That's not happening. Thanks a lot, The Rock. With your bullshit with Black Adam.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this, he looks good right here. Sure. But he looks like he's wearing a costume. Is that just me?
Well, he's older.
Am I
That's the
freaking
thing.
out?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's definitely older.
Again, like, this is like pre-Batman Keaton, where like he was doing anything and everything,
Mm-hmm. And he's not really that kind of actor anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how well he slots back into it. From what I've heard, the few scant lines of dialogue you get to hear in these trailers, it sounds like not great. It reminds me of when I first heard Harrison Ford, when I first heard his voice in Indiana Jones 4.
Oh yeah.
And it was like a bad impression of himself. And I was like, "Oh no." I remember being in the theater and I thought to myself, "Oh no."
Was it the part where he's like, what are you, some kind of adventurer or not, or like, are you not an archaeologist? And he goes like, part-time. Yeah.
No. It was when I was in the theater. Like I was in the theater watching the movie because it's hard. You can't judge by a trailer, so I don't know.
Sure.
But it was just like it's the first thing he says. Like the first line in the movie when he opens his mouth, it's like bad. He sounds like he's doing a bad impression of himself. Like he couldn't find the character again.
Okay.
And I was like, oh no. So I kind of got the same vibe when I heard Michael Keaton say the juice is loose.
Yeah.
So I have a little trepidation here. I mean, what?
What is Willem Dafoe doing in this?
Oh, this is supposed to be some. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
He looks like he's in a Yorgos Lanthimos movie.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like in all of them now. Yeah, but there's so much is going on in this movie. Like this plot seems very complicated.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. I don't like that because it's gonna be like his Alice in Wonderland. It's just all of like this busy nonsense that doesn't matter.
Right.
Just like filling time. I really hope it's not like that. I just don't think Tim Burton's a good director anymore. Let's just be real.
No, he's lost his edge.
We gotta fucking let it go,
ago.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the last real movie he made was like Big Fish.
I would say I do really like Sweeney Todd. Flaws aside,
that's all right.
I think it's pretty good. But I agree. Yeah, like he just did not find his footing after that.
Everything's so fucking soulless.
Yeah.
And just how you were like the weirdo, kooky director. Why does everything feel so like studio gross?
Yeah.
Everything. I'll say this though. His Dark Shadows has its moments. I wouldn't say it's good, but it has its moments. If you like campy shit. But anyways, here we go. Willem Dafoe. He also looks like almost looks like the like a cybernetic in Fallout 4.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Where's Beetlejuice?
Where's Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice!
Feel free to express yourselves. Don't be afraid.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Really? Is this a figment of your imagination?
That's the other thing, too. Michael Keaton looks so tired. He's not energized, the way that Beetlejuice.
He's like fucking 76 years old. He is tired. He's just literally tired.
I understand that, but if you were committed to this role, you would at least give it a little bit more oomph. A little bit.
Oh my God, Jeremy, coming in with notes for Michael Keaton.
How dare they?
How dare you?
Yeah.
Why don't you wait until your little movie's done before you start criticizing the big dogs?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a filmmaker of Tor Films. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice!
Feel free to express yourselves. Don't be afraid.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Really? Is this a figment of your imagination?
It just seems like it's going to be inconsistent.
Yeah.
The first thing he says sounded right. And then when he got to this part, it sounded bad. Listen, these are just observations, everybody. I'm not being a creep. I promise you.
Feel free to express yourselves. Don't be afraid.
You're a
Sounds
figment
good.
of my imagination.
Really? Is this
Bad.
a figment of your imagination?
The juice is loose. What the fuck was that? What was that? Hold on here. Is he Freddy Krueger?
See, yeah, even the way that we're talking about this trailer, that we're breaking down like step by step, people are not doing. No one's like coming out to see, oh, Beetlejuice, I forgot about that classic. I'm going to go see the new one, you know?
No, I agree with you. I think they overestimate like the nostalgia factor for some of these things. They don't realize how like niche something like Beetlejuice actually kind of is.
No.
Like, it is not like a family favorite that everybody watched growing up, even people of the time when it came out.
Yeah.
Like, I've met plenty of people that have never seen Beetlejuice. Honestly. And like I said earlier, like, even I hadn't seen it until I was older. Like, of my own volition. It's not something like I stumbled on or my parents showed me or...
Yeah, I was late to the game. I didn't know about the movie really until my ex-girlfriend like showed me to it back in high school.
Okay.
So
she was like, "This is my favorite movie."
Well, it was this and Crybaby from
John Waters.
From John Waters. Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
Yep.
So she looks like the character from A Nightmare Before Christmas. The way the stitches are going.
Yep.
What's her name? I can't remember her name.
Who's in the cast?
Tragic. This is some nice silly fun. It seems very like Tex Avery.
It does. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so zany and wacky. Like, I feel like it's like almost too much. I mean, we're being critical, but you know.
Yeah.
Austin said, "I grew up with Beetlejuice. Kind of scary back then." Sally, thank you, Austin. Sally, yes, she kind of looks like Sally. But yeah, do you get that vibe too?
Oh, absolutely. No, like even like from the screenshot right here, like this was a character that was a little bit more raw and organic and like put together, and now they're turning into like I guess some sort of cartoon joke.
Yeah, no, it is a little bit supposed to be a little sillier, right? They lightened it up, probably make it a little. They probably kind of polled like a demographic. Like, let's see how they respond to this color change.
Yeah.
What's more pleasing and what makes you feel safer?
Because one thing I really respect about Tim Burton at this time is that like he was not afraid to go into like the darker, more decrepit areas of just like what people were capable of. Were capable of, and to give them that like
explore a little darkness within your kind of semi-family friendly fare.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then
something with some edge, but that wasn't completely inappropriate.
Right. And that carried on like even into the 2000s, but like once he hit like I want to say like after Sweeney Todd, he just like said like, okay, studios, they got the full control. I'll just be the director at that point.
Yeah.
And
that's kind of what it feels like. I don't know what it is from his perspective, but it just seems like he's like just good at the business side of it, like, and also just being able to manage these giant productions. Like, he's like a master at it now.
Yeah.
He's done so many of them, which is so wild. Because I mean, like 80s and 90s, Tim Burton is great. I love a lot of those movies. Ed Wood, Beetlejuice, Pee-wee's Big Adventure,
Batman.
I mean, I said Ed Wood, right? Yeah, Ed Wood.
Ed Wood.
Mars Attacks. Attacks.
Yep.
Even up to Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow is underrated.
Yeah, I really like that a lot.
Yeah.
Austin says, "What in the world do you do in a Beetlejuice sequel? I'm either going to love this or hate it. I haven't seen any Burtons after Alice in Wonderland. Never saw Sweeney Todd either. I liked Alice okay. Willy Wonka was okay. Yeah, Willy Wonka was okay. Like, it wasn't a complete failure.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not like my preferred. I probably would never choose to go to the Burton one if I was going to watch a Willy Wonka product. Now I get to watch Wonka with Timothy Chalamet.
There you go.
There's a new Wonka in town, boys, and he's kind of a twink.
Better watch out. Yeah.
This part looks cool. I can appreciate this. It looks like rear projection.
I'm with you though, dude. On too, like with Jenna Ortega, like she is being propped up as like the next. Not even like the final girl in a Scream movie, but she is like taking the place of every single property. Like,
yeah,
I
like
am that,
anything that's an edgy girl property. Yeah, she's kind of the go-to right now.
Yeah,
because she did that Wednesday. She was in 2 Screams.
Yep.
So she's just kind of associated herself with that. But yeah, she's the manic pixie goth girl of the moment. People like to do her TikTok dances.
But you gotta be Latinx. Yeah.
Yes, Latinx is great.
Yeah.
Let's get her in a movie. I want to invest $1 billion into this Latinx. She's gonna. Oh boy, so many pesos.
So many. Oh boy.
I mean, this stuff is cool. Like, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably gonna be a very fleeting moment there, but I don't know. It just seems so fucking busy. It just seems like there's so much going on in this movie.
It's too late. That's the issue, and that's the issue with most of these sequels. They come too late. You cannot be distributed. Yeah.
No, it's too. You missed your moment. Like, if you were gonna do this, it should have been in like the late '90s.
Yeah.
Should have done that Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii movie, from what I understand, is like a whole. Is actually supposed to be pretty good. Like, the script is pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, surprisingly a clever like twist on whatever it is. But I don't know. I'm just feeling like it's a little deja vu-y. It's going to be a little too close to home, maybe, because it's kind of, we're just revisiting old locations,
Yeah.
kind of taking a trip through nostalgia lane with some wacky new story. Love, intrigue. Everybody's looking for Beetlejuice.
Yeah. What will they get up to next? Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious because in the original Beetlejuice, a lot of what the kind of third tier characters are filled with like great character actors,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what makes one of the things that makes the movie like so memorable. Like the woman that works at the desk in the underworld, that cranky old lady smoking cigarettes. Like, it adds so much flavor and texture to the movie, and they're not going to have something like that in this. They're going to have some stupid, fucking, silly, goofy character that's clean, socially acceptable by these fucking normies, dude. I said, give me my grumpy old lady and her cigarettes.
Yeah, no, honestly, like, I miss, like, the chain smoking, like, chest register like person who's just like, okay, what do you want? Come on, let's make this happen. Just like that. All of that is gone. It depresses me to shit because like that's what makes. That's not sorry, not even what makes, but like that's what gives like a film like some sort of like humanity in a little bit.
Yeah, it does. No, but it does. It really does.
And
like we talk about, like people want to talk about diversity.
Sure.
How about like show us like the diverse, different types of human beings, cranky old ladies and scabby old men, and just add some flavor, some texture to things. Some fucking texture. That's all I ask. Austin says, I hate the whole trailer except for Michael. He says, it feels like the world is going to end. Sorry, I'm going through it tonight. And then he says, need Gina and Alec. Well, that's quite the journey you just took me on, Austin. I hope you're okay, pal.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
I
for
agree.
hanging out with us, though.
Thank you, Austin.
But yeah, like it's you. I think that is going to be the problem with the movie. I think you identified it immediately. Is that the edges are going to be all shaved off, and the edges are the things that kind of make Beetlejuice memorable. It is the edge of the movie, of the material, and it's not going to be in this. This is going to be like an amusement park ride.
Yeah.
With Michael Keaton like doing like dinner theater. You know? Oh,
Yeah.
that's so depressing. I just bummed myself out.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Did you see the film Challengers?
No, I haven't got a chance to see it. I want to watch it though.
Okay, it's pretty good, but it is a classic example of just that whole how to phrase it. People of that age like not being able to like actually like formalize like what they're going through between their like interrelations and whatnot, and making it seem like, oh yeah, this is normal or something like that. Like
kind of
it's
normalizing like dumb decisions that are obviously destructive. Yeah, it's kind of what they do nowadays when they talk about relationships and people.
Yeah,
they're trying to normalize being like a degenerate coomer that's like, oh, we're all in open relationships. And we're all cool with it.
Right. I was even thinking the same thing when you and I reviewed oh my god. What's our classic movie? Our classic Christmas film, Sean.
Wake and Fright?
Wake and Fright, like it kind of hints at that a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. The hedonism. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear
you. Hedonism.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a hedonistic like lifestyle. And that movie, though, because it's like kind of I don't know, more thoughtful. It kind of shows you that it's destructive.
Yeah.
It's not afraid to tell you that this is a dead end and nothing productive can come from things like this.
Right.
And no, I imagine these days in Challengers, I imagine that's kind of, is that what it does? Because I from what I was told or what I heard was that like, oh, it's not what they kind of sold it as.
Well, it's definitely coming from the perspective of somebody that is living through a little bit of that life, but understands that perspective. So it is certainly his voice, yeah. But
are they all gay?
I mean, I would say I figured like at this point, like at that point, like yeah, they're all gay, but they don't know fully what they really want.
Oh yeah, who does?
Yeah. At that age,
Oh, of course not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'll get around to watching it at some point, but
it's good. I mean, I'm just like he's one of these few directors
it's ethically gross.
Yeah, yeah. He's one of these few directors who can pull it off okay, but like generally, like when I see other people attempt it, I'm like, don't, no, stop.
Well, I don't know, man. Like I thought his other movie was Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah,
I thought that was a little creepy, a little weird. I mean, like
oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Like casting Timothy Chalamet, who reads as like a 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Even I don't care if you tell me he's like 16 or 17 or whatever it was supposed to be. No, that's like not what the message you're sending. It's like it was kind of it was a little gross to me. And I also thought like the whole thing was just a little silly to me. But anyways, yeah, no, I guess I'll have to get around to it. I don't know.
Yeah, he was supposed to be read as like 16 or 17 years old, but either way, I was like bothered by it. I don't know. Yeah.
It's just like watching somebody being groomed, and then they're like, well, no, that's just normal male gay relationships.
Yeah.
Older guys groom younger guys. Like, you're like, okay. But anyways, Beetlejuice, what a film.
And the Mummy. Yeah.
The Mummy, man. Austin says we need another City Slickers type feel good movie about friendships. You know, you're not wrong. I think we do. We need something like The Gray. No, I was joking. We could do that. Like, is there any like good? Yeah, where are the good like hangout where a bunch of pals having an adventure movies? They don't make those anymore. We're not allowed to have that anymore, Jeremy.
Well, you and what is it, Big Paul talked about that recently with Blood Meridian on your book analysis, which I read as well. And I think you guys did a splendid job covering that book. But
thank you.
That is a scary part of that whole aspect of just like, oh yeah, what can the boys do to make time for
what do you mean
their fun?
You're talking about when City Slickers goes wrong?
Yeah.
Billy Crystal, just what if he goes feral?
Yeah.
out there on the plains, he just goes fucking full native, and then just starts murking fuckers, and that's what they're out there doing, just killing them all. Austin says without a paddle. That was the last one. Without a paddle. Well, though it's more of explicitly like a comedy, but yeah, I guess that would work. That would track. I mean, does something like Road Trip work? I mean, but that's more explicitly a comedy, but it is a comedic adventure.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know. I'm not God, okay? I can't tell you how you should categorize these things. I've not just had those powers. Austin says, I'm just kidding. I don't believe you. You're just taking it back. You're just taking it back now because you created a controversy. You know what, buddy?
Brother, what's that?
That's what I say to you, Austin. Try to catch me slipping.
Well, Sean, we should end this on the Mummy. We should actually
okay.
Take it back to the beginnings. What a fantastic action adventure blockbuster that this was.
It really was. It ushered in a really bad era.
Yeah.
It kind of ushered it in. But my God, at first at bat, there was hope there. Mm-hmm. There was hope there with this new technology that we could do fun, great things. And then they saw those dollar redos and they said, let's get these out faster and faster and faster. And that just spelled disaster, dude.
Yeah.
Spelled disaster. But we'll always have the Mummy. We'll always have that first diamond.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What a diamond it was. Stephen Sommers, no matter what he does, no matter what he did before, no matter what he does after, he made the Mummy. And we'll always love and respect him for that.
They made a real treatment for us. Yeah. And we should respect that and honor that.
And I tell you what, if I hear you talking shit about Stephen Sommers, buddy, I'll tell you what, I'll karate chop you down. Rick O'Connell style, okay? Yes. Yes, thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back again in a couple weeks. Oh, Jeremy, what movie are we doing?
Oh, yes. We're doing... let me just readjust my little set here. We are doing... what did I suggest?
The Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, not just from 1950s, but the 1970s.
Yes.
Yeah. Philip Kaufman, who directed and I think has a little bit more of a hand in the film. But this is a movie that has stuck with me for a long time, and I think will play a hand into what we discuss further. So
Yeah, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I've been wanting to revisit that for a while, actually. Austin says, I was in a home movie my brother made called Widow of the Mummy when I was like 3. Well, that's pretty cool.
Tell me that too.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Trelling says, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the true successor to The Mummy. Yeah. Dude, that movie could have been good too, okay? I don't know what happened. Dude, can you believe that that's Sean Connery's last fucking movie?
No. It's just
That is fucking crazy. Can you believe he turned down Lord of the Rings and The Matrix, and then he made that movie?
that dude, like, he had no
He could have went out
right
at
to
least.
shine.
He could have
Yeah.
at least went out on The Matrix.
Right.
At least, not great shakes. It was the sequels, but
Yeah.
he could have went out on one of them, and not The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That poor fuck, dude. You know what? Technically though, his last performance was he did the VO for From Russia with Love, the video game for PlayStation 2.
Nice.
Yeah. He came in and he was Bond once again, my friend. And it was thrilling. It was thrilling to go around and a polygonal, jagged representation of a young Sean Connery hearing his old man voice.
Nice.
Yeah, it was like you could hear the dryness. It's like sawdust in there.
We're calling quits here. I gotta piss. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We'll see you later. Until next time. Adios.